what day it is, huh? Hump Day!
Good morning, everyone, and happy Hump Day from the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis, where it is coming up on 7 o'clock in 3, 2, 1, woof. 7 o'clock, time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke Grimsley, Danny Mack, Matthew Rocchio, Randy Carricker, all here. And by the way, if you want to watch us on our Air Alliance Team Studio Cam, all you need to do, I'm looking at you, YouTube, is type in YouTube on your browser, www.youtube.com.
Oh, you don't have to do the www.
Thanks, Brooke. I appriciate that.
I don't know if you need to do that anymore.
I don't think you do. And then just type in 101 ESPN STL without an HTTPS or anything like that. Just 101 ESPN STL, and you just click on opening drive, and you can watch us. How you guys doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. How about you, Randy?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to a big day. We're going to talk to Jamie Rivers. We've got Cardinal baseball. We've got the Major League Baseball season starting tomorrow, and I'm an excited person.
It actually started in the overseas,
Good
to be
point.
technically sound here on the opening drive. I just want to make sure, because everything we say is factual.
That's true. And if it's not, then somebody will text in.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
So the North American version
There
of
you go.
the Major League Baseball season.
Now, that is 100% accurate. Well, we're pretty
For your
excited
Cardinals. Yeah.
going into the season, right? Everybody's excited about the Cardinals.
Well, no. Not everybody. I mean, you do have 6 players on the IL, and I would guess if we ask people to text in right now, 314-399-9646, 314-399, yo-ho!
Let me get it out of the way. Yo-ho.
Thank you, Dan.
No
That was a
problem.
quick one.
Tell us if you're not excited about the Cardinals 2024 championship season, because I would think that there might be people that aren't too thrilled about where the Cardinals are headed this year.
You're saying with that many players on the IL that people might be nervous, Randy?
Yeah, on the IL, and then they don't have Jordan Montgomery, who's now a member of the Arizona Diamondbacks. If you didn't hear it last night, the flash apparently official from Phoenix, the Arizona Diamondbacks have signed Jordan Montgomery to a one-year contract for $25 million. Now, he does have a vesting option that can get him another 20 or 25 million, depending on how much he starts. But 10 starts gets him the vesting option for 20 million next year. So essentially, it's a 2-year, $45 million contract.
It makes a lot of sense if you're Arizona. The rotation now is Zach Gallen, Jordan Montgomery, Merrill Kelly, Brandon Pfaadt, and Ryan Nelson.
Can you say that fourth one again?
Pfaadt. I'm not going to do the Pfaadt.
And injured Eduardo Rodriguez.
That's the other guy that's coming back. It's kind of an arms race right now in the National League West.
It's
with
crazy.
All the great, some of the great pitchers in the game are in the National League West. The Giants have that. San Diego certainly has that. We know about the Dodgers and now the Arizona rotation. I think the question would be is when can you insert him into the rotation and just how ready he is. And remember, the Cardinals will face them in the first month.
What do you guys think? I would say a month for Montgomery.
I'd say before that, because of the investment, and he'll convince somebody that he's been thrown on the side and he's ready to go.
I can see that as well. I'm just surprised that the deal that the Diamondbacks were able to get out of this. I mean, it's the same AAV as Sonny Gray. We have to go ahead and mention that. And I just kind of thought that maybe he'd get a little bit more than that. Scott Boras has lost his Midas touch this offseason. I think it's fair to say that at this point.
The one thing that he gets is these guys basically another bite at the apple after the season. And the contract, as you mentioned, Randy, has a lot of options to where it can up as close to $50 million. So I think if he makes 10 starts, there's a huge payment there. So he'll get to 10 starts, and then that'll make the deal look a little bit better for 1 year.
I don't believe that Montgomery feels this way. Maybe he does. I don't know. But here's the way I feel. If I signed a 1-year deal with a vesting option for a second year for $25 million on March 26th, I would say to my agent, I could have been the first free agent to sign and gotten that deal.
Exactly. Well, it just makes you think, too, a lot of different things. One, a lot of other teams missed out on the opportunity, not just the Cardinals, but should the Cardinals have at least looked at this option with Jordan Montgomery? Of course,
Apparently
that
they
would
did.
require... Okay, that would require him wanting to come back.
Yeah.
But should the Cardinals have tried to maybe work something out with Jordan Montgomery?
I believe it was Derek Gould that said they checked in on him within the last week or so.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams probably did just to see how far it would go down. So he gets 7 years, or wanted 7 years, more than $172 million. And with 20 starts here this season, he'll get 2 years and $50 million if he hits those starts. I mean, it's still $50 million, but think about where he wanted to go, 172, and it drops to 50 to Brooks' point. Now, again, they get another bite at the apple, and if it hits this offseason, meaning the one that's upcoming, because we're into the season now, I got to tell Scott Boras, you know what? If we get a deal with multi-years and its AAV is pretty good, got to sign it, man. Can't wait. Yeah. Can't wait for this.
And I know there's going to be people out there texting in, and we'll get to your text in just a moment here. But where would you start him? I mean, do you start him in the bullpen if you're the Cardinals? Because Kyle Gibson gave you 5 innings yesterday, 9 strikeouts. He didn't walk a batter. He only allowed 1 run on 4 hits. So you can't pitch him ahead of Kyle Gibson. You're going to pitch him ahead of Lance Lynn, who was brilliant last time out. Steven Matz was brilliant his last time out. You're going to start him ahead of Michaelis? No. And then you get Sonny Gray back. So essentially, if you have Jordan Montgomery, he's your 6th starter anyway.
Well, they bought into Lynn and Gibson, and I can see Randy with a sarcastic way of presenting this. I will say, Kyle Gibson, good for him yesterday. He needed a good start. Mm-hmm. And can he miss bats? Because last year, the hard hit percentage against him was nearly 50%. And you mentioned 9 strikeouts, an improved slider yesterday. He relies on a sinker. So innings, and maybe give you a chance to win, and that's what they're hoping with Kyle Gibson.
Well, you mentioned the money that they already also have tied up in these starters, too. 5 starters for the Cardinals right now in the starting rotation, making 8 figures this year. You have Sonny Gray making $25 million, Miles Michaelis making a little over $18.5 million, Steven Matz $11 million, Kyle Gibson $13 million, Lance Lynn $11 million. So maybe that's another factor in this too, is that the Cardinals really financially could not invest into another starting pitcher into their starting rotation.
Here's one of the concerns I have is the lack of innings with Lynn and Gibson coming out of spring training. Now they're working on things, and I get that. They're trying to get arm angle higher with Lance Lynn to get more sink. Kyle Gibson, it was a field pitch for him, especially with his slider. He relies on a sink or two to get ground balls. But a lack of innings going into this season, I'm not sure I like that. I don't mind the high ERA. I just wanted to see a little bit more innings from both those guys.
I'm with you. I want to have them be ready to go on opening day to give... Well, set it up so the bullpen only has to give you 9 outs. That's what I want. 6 innings.
6, I'll take.
Yeah.
And a chance to win. You know, up by 1 or 2, down by 1 or 2, it gives you a chance to win. And I would say the bright spot going into the season, and there's a number of those, there's some down things too, but is the bullpen. I like the bullpen going in. Even without Keenan Middleton, even though you're relying a lot on him, I still think the bullpen has a chance to be pretty good.
And I think he's a bridge guy. He's a middle reliever.
Oh.
Middleton.
What if it was Joe High Leverage? What would you say then?
Okay,
he's high leverage.
Yeah. He's not middle leverage. He's high leverage.
That's right.
So they needed to sign Keenan Highton.
Even Matthew didn't like that.
Okay, so...
usually he jumps on all of these and says, oh, that's a good one, Randy. It's an awesome one.
He's a little relaxed because he had a pedicure yesterday. So, Randy, you missed it. We had great segment. We had a great segment while you were gone where we discussed pedicures.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Thanks for listening.
Have you had a pedicure?
I believe I may have been on vacation. So. No, I'm not a pedicure guy. I have bad toenails, yeah, so...
Well, that's how you fix them with a pedicure.
Well, no, I don't. Matthew?
She's absolutely right. That's how you get them fixed.
So you'd go in there and be like Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, kind of. Well,
scissor toes?
Here's the other part. Like, even getting my feet massaged, it tickles too much. I would be laughing and my feet would be moving and stuff.
And then you accidentally kick somebody.
You do have to fight through that a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. You just work on it.
It's nice, though.
A couple of texts. Lisa texts in. One of our favorites says, the attendance is going to be the worst in years this year. Lisa, thank you very much for checking in. Do you guys think the Arizona Diamondbacks or the Cardinals will have a better record in 2024? Diamondbacks were in the World Series last year, so I kind of like them.
I think I'm going to go with the Diamondbacks.
Yeah. This from the 636. Montgomery is a head case. Didn't want to be an STL. So that was one of the rumors floating around. I don't know that he ever said that on the record, that he didn't want to be an STL, but that was certainly a rumor floating around on the interwebs.
If I was his agent, I'd say shut your mouth because we need all the options we can get. We need leverage in this thing, man. You got to say St. Louis wants me, the Cubs want me. If you want me, it's going to cost you X.
Yeah.
I doubt he said that. I'd be surprised if he did.
I would too. Another one, are Montgomery and Snell really happy with Scott Boras?
That's a really good question considering the money they were asking for. Dan, as you mentioned, $172 million is what Montgomery was looking for. Snell was looking for, I can't remember, but it was high up in that range as well. And more years. Both of them looking for more years. Just staying on the Scott Boras subject for one moment here. Do you think that it has a lot to do with Scott Boras or also everything going on with the uncertainty surrounding the TV deals?
I think that's a lot of it. I really do. I think a lot of teams, and maybe the Cardinals included, this was their idea to make sure that they get the TV situation settled and sign one-year guys and being able to walk away from that after this season.
I think there's so much that goes into this, guys. Number one, the advent of analytics. Everybody's got a price tag for a player. Started by Bill DeWitt. That's why he brought in Jeff Luhnow. I want to be able to put a price tag on a player so that this can be a cold, unemotional process for us. Now everybody does that. In addition to that, Tom Ricketts said it with the Cubs. I don't even talk to Scott Boras. That's what I hired general manager for. Boras used to be able to get the ear of the owner, even here in Bill DeWitt. He did that. He did that with Tom Hicks when he got Alex Rodriguez signed. He's done it with numerous owners. The ownership in L.A., obviously the ownership in Washington and Detroit when Mike Ilitch was alive. He doesn't have access to owners as much as he used to. And now it's general managers who are doing the bidding for the teams, and they are cold and unemotional about it.
Can I go back to Lisa for a moment?
Yes.
I think that fans will turn out to the ballpark because the Cardinals, despite the fact that they may be roughly around 500, so is everybody else in the division. So you're going to have competitive games down the stretch. I was looking this morning, Fangraphs has the Cardinals winning the division by 1 game, and that's over the Cubs. By the way, all 5 teams are separated by 6 games, so you have a little drama inside the Central. Baseball Prospectus has the Cardinals at 84 wins, the Cubs at 81. I went and looked at this, though. A key for this season, the Cubs farm system is number 1 in the National League, and they've got 11 prospects that some believe one or the other or all 11 could potentially wind up with the Chicago Cubs at some point.
Wow.
Huh. Sounds like something Dan Kantrovitz could pull off.
He's pretty good.
He really is. A former Cardinal farm director, and now farm director, right? And now the farm director for the Chicago, or scouting director for the Cubs.
I think you'd have to give Randy Flores a lot of credit,
He's awesome.
too. He's putting out a lot of young players.
And unlike the Cubs, the Cardinals, last year aside, are generally drafting in the 20s. Jordan Walker was drafted in the 20s. Mason Wynn was drafted in the second round. Most other teams aren't drafting at that spot and drafting that well.
You got to find diamonds in the rough or players that fit into how you develop players in the minor league system for the Cardinals.
Yep. The Blues are in action tomorrow night. They take on Calgary over at Enterprise Center. That's a 7 o'clock start, 6 o'clock face-off here on 101 ESPN. And the NCAA tournament also resumes tomorrow night. The NCAA, the NIT tournament continued last night, and the guy that the Billikens apparently are talking to, the coach at Indiana State, they won. They eliminated Cincinnati, so Indiana State advances, and Sean, I'll remember the name once they hire him.
Josh Schertz.
Josh Schertz, there we go. Josh Schertz. He will advance with Indiana State.
Oh.
They're a fun team to watch.
They are really fun. They're so efficient offensively, and one of the things that I wonder is that, and by the way, John Calipari going back to Kentucky. What happens? What happens with Louisville? I mean, that's become a job that it used to be a destination spot, but you had Chris Mack there, the guy that they just fired, they thought was going to be perfect.
Yep.
I mean, would Louisville get into the action with Josh Schertz, or is it already a done deal?
I read that Louisville could be in on Josh Schertz.
They could be in on Josh Schertz, but apparently the favorite right now for the Louisville job is the lesser
Richard Pitino.
The lesser Pitino.
Yep.
Oh, I love this.
Really?
Yes,
Richard
indeed.
Pitino.
Richard Pitino, ladies and gentlemen. A Pitino
man.
back in Louisville.
All right.
Is he a good guy?
I've been around him, and he is exactly like his dad, it seems like. He looks like his dad. The way that he handles himself is like his dad. I'm not so sure he can coach like Dad.
No, Dad's pretty darn good.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh, he does look just
Yeah,
like
just
him.
like him.
And we should mention that Konzo Martin is ready to go back to Missouri State.
Yeah, good for Konzo.
I love Konzo. He's a
Me
good
too.
guy. And with his contacts, Adidas, Nike, worked on the West Coast. He's obviously familiar with the middle of the country. He can get players.
Yeah.
He can get players. So
And they've got support at Missouri State, too,
yes, they do.
with Bass Pro.
And they have others
Yeah.
that will step up, and the transfer portal is probably where he would make his living, just like any other coach. But they need to get more. They need more from the fan base. Got to have the fan base invested, and it seems like he'd be able to do that.
Yeah. So good luck and congratulations to our friend Conzo Martin. Coming up, it is Hump Day, and that means you might need a little bit of advice. Easter weekend here, the warm weather. It's on its way. Trust me. If you have a question for Uncle Randy, all you need to do is text in and ask the question, and we'll answer it for you. 314-399-9646. 314-399-YO-HO. Ask Uncle Randy is coming your way on this Hump Day on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you are in the market for a new sunroom or a screen room in the back of your house, you need to get in touch with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. They do fantastic work, and they really care about you. They put professionalism and quality into everything they do at Chesterfield Fence and Deck and provide the best and longest-lasting outdoor products available. Now, here's what you need to do. If you are in the market for a great outdoor project on your home, go to their website, chesterfieldfence.com, and you can make an appointment there, or give them a call at 800-300-4054. They'll come out, provide you a free, no-obligation project design. They'll take measurements and show you what they're going to do, and then show you pictures of jobs that they have done so that you can get some other ideas, and you can have the most glorious sunroom or screen room possible. And their name is Chesterfield Fence and Deck, so they do more than sunrooms and screen rooms. They do a beautiful job with cedar and vinyl fences, beautiful natural cedar decks, and Vecca vinyl decking that includes their new pewter color. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's a gray that has great variations throughout for a more natural look at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. 800-300-4054. ChesterfieldFence.com. Chesterfield Fence and Deck. The sign you have the very best.
Uncle Randy, let him dive into his infinite well filled with wisdom to find you answers. Text 314-399-9646. It's Ask Uncle Randy on 101 ESPN.
Time for your questions on Ask Uncle Randy. Happy Hump Day from the opening drive. Matthew Rocchio has access to the text machine. What do you got, sir?
Dear Uncle Randy, I have 4 daughters and the oldest is getting married. Do I go all out for her wedding or scale it back a little bit? The other 3 will be watching.
I would say pace yourself.
Yeah.
I would say prepare for 4 and prepare for each to get a similar type and expense of wedding. I don't think I don't think you can just let the other ones sit by the side as the oldest one gets all the money and gets the awesome wedding. I would say pace yourself on this.
4 daughters. I am feeling for you right now.
Couple $100,000, right?
Oh my goodness. Couple hundred grand, you think?
For 4?
Oh, yeah.
50,000 a wedding?
Each?
Yep.
Here's an idea.
No.
Oh, I
Total.
thought you were saying, okay, total.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Should you just
I
think-
mean, here's the thing, Randy. As someone who's going through this right now, it starts adding up, and then all of a sudden another expense comes, and then something else needs to happen. Maybe you already paid for something and something else falls through. It seems like a million different possibilities. You can go in with a very strict budget, and something always happens.
Now, tell me this, as somebody who's doing this, and I know you're doing a lot of it yourself anyway, but would you be offended if there were a budget set and then any overages, overcharges, any excess expenses, that would be on you? Would that bother you?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
I think if you give say, okay, to each daughter, you're getting $50,000 for your wedding. Anything over 50 is on you. I don't think that's unfair to you.
No, not at all. I think that's completely fair. 50 grand is a lot, but then you get into weddings, man. They're expensive. I got 2 daughters. I got a buddy of mine that his daughter's getting married. He told me one of the sums of what he did for flowers, and I was floored.
Flowers, yes.
Floored at how much he was paying for flowers.
You just got to start from right now. For the other 3, just eloping sounds like a great idea. I think just like little tiny weddings and on in the Florida Keys. Just you got to start pushing that. Maybe you get 3 out of 4 elopements, and instead of weddings, you buy a lake house.
Have you ever met your mother-in-law? Your future mother-in-law? That ain't going to happen.
Ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
No.
By the way,
Look how quickly he wants to change the subject,
I like
too.
big weddings, though. I'm different. I'm also a dude, though.
I do get it. This is a very tough situation, so I feel for you. And here's the thing: even if you do try to keep a secret for maybe this first daughter of, okay, I'll give you a little extra money over budget,
it doesn't work.
the other girls will find out.
Yep,
they
will.
will always find
Yeah.
out.
So I would say don't blow the budget on the first one. That'd be my recommendation. And oh, by the way, the average wedding in America last year cost $30,000. So
wow.
average.
Where?
But you have the elopers,
I'm
right?
sorry.
You have the people that are spending right. But you have the people that are spending $500 just to go to the justice of the peace, right? More or less. So
Thinkers.
And then for everybody that's spending $500, then you've got somebody spending $60 to get you to $30,000. All right, Matthew. That's math, by the way. Brought to you by Randy Carricker, product of Parkway North High School and the Lindenwood University, right here on 101 ESPN. Go ahead.
Dear Uncle Randy, with Easter coming up, where you get seated next to several people that I would otherwise not be in a room with, what are a couple of universal subjects to bring up that will kill time, but not me inside?
Do you like deviled eggs? I think that's a good one. Easter, right?
Paprika or no paprika?
Paprika or no paprika? Really good.
Needed.
How about this one?
No, you don't want to
okay.
debate with people.
Dialogue.
Can you repeat this question, please? I think I might have the right answer for you. Please repeat the question.
Easter coming up, where you get seated next to several people that I would otherwise not be in a room with. What are a couple of universal subjects to bring up that will kill time, but not me inside?
Okay.
Oh, politics for sure.
No, Dan.
Here's the play. If it's somebody that's next to you that you really don't want to be next to, hey, have you ever known anybody with irritable bowel syndrome, and how did they deal with it?
Do you have a colostomy bag? Just breaks the ice.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
And then grab the deviled egg. Grab the deviled egg as you ask the question. Hey, and you know anything about IBS?
Okay, how about some legit advice here? Maybe
okay.
avoid politics, conspiracy theories, maybe even sports at this point, because that can get heated.
Yeah, Randy will talk sports with you, but then by the time you're done with it, you feel like you just got beat up.
So, I would think if it's somebody you don't like, if you talk politics, you're either going to validate why you don't like them, or all of a sudden you're going to become fast friends. So I would start the political conversation.
No.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theories also could fast friendships.
No.
From conspiracy theories.
Did you guys hear? I said avoid those two things.
Oh, no, those are great.
Avoid
What are
them,
your thoughts
please.
on the shadows on the moon? Just throw that one out there, and with that, whichever way they take it, if they go fake conspiracy, roll with it. If they go, I hate it, just play along.
Flat earther or round earther?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways to go here.
What's your thoughts on ice walls surrounding the planet? And just see where they take it.
Yep.
Say
And
the
other
Earth
thing
is flat. See where it goes.
So
Just make that statement.
Right.
and if this is like a brother-in-law or a sister-in-law, I don't know what your scenario is. If you have 30 people, just pick out somebody in the room or at the table and say, "Don't you hate that person?"
And that probably doesn't fly.
Don't you hate that person? Well, you don't like the person next to you anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Right. You're out anyway.
Yeah, right.
What about a philosophical one? Just they sit down, why do you think we see the sky as blue? And then just let that one sit there.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
Just let it sit there.
Okay, we should actually probably play to the audience here. Okay.
Okay.
Somebody you don't like, sit down.
618 says, Randy, pull up FanDuel and put together an MLB parlay with them. I kind of like
fun.
that.
Not bad.
So, the other thing you can do is say, "Hey, is John Mosaic like the best GM in baseball, or what?"
See, now you're going down the sports.
Randy.
I know, but it fits, because if you don't like the person, you're either going to validate your disdain for this person, or you're going to be completely flipped and find out, okay, I agree with this person on something. I like this.
Dear Uncle Randy, when is a kid too old to do the Easter egg hunt?
Easter
Randy
egg
still
hunt.
does.
Easter egg hunt. That's different, Dan. I'll tell that story in a moment.
I know where you're going with that story.
Easter egg hunt, I would say 10.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I would say 11 is 10 might be your last year for it, because you dominate the 2 and 3 year olds, which I always enjoyed.
Hip checks, pushing kids
Yeah.
down. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
10 years of age is enough.
Yeah. So many moons ago, I turned 30. This was a long time ago when I turned 30. I've gone half a lifetime since. And I'm doing afternoon drive at KMOX with Carol Daniel and Doug McKelvin. And we're talking about what's going to happen on Easter. And this is like this day. It's like the Wednesday before Easter. And I said, I don't know why because we had little kids. That's what it was. I said, yeah, my mom doesn't like me anymore. I don't get an Easter basket. My mom just hates me now. I don't know why. I don't know what I did. My mom was listening, and she was horrified. So I wound up getting an Easter basket for many years. You are never too old to get an Easter basket.
What is the budget on an Easter basket? This is another question I have, because I've been seeing some crazy Easter baskets on social media where people are putting in like Stanley Cups, all these different expensive things. What is the right
How
budget?
did people get a hold of the Stanley Cup?
Oh, not that, Randy. I'm talking about, I traded mine in, but, one of these
Okay.
things.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah,
She's scared
well,
of
it
lead.
depends. It's become a gift holiday, has it
You
not?
have one.
So I'm very easy to take care of. 10 Reese's eggs for $10. I'm easy to take care of. But there are people that are spending, what's a Stanley Cup cost? About $40?
It can.
So I would say, depending on your financial wherewithal, I would say $50 on an Easter basket with a cool present is not bad. And then just fill up the Stanley Cup with Reese's eggs.
Just give me candy. That's
Candy
all I
is
need.
good.
I don't need the cup. Just give me candy.
Black jelly beans, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Oh, down.
Down. Yep.
Why are
I'm
they
with
even
you.
in there?
I don't know why they bother. It's terrible. It's the worst thing in the world.
I did like a high level chocolate bunny last year, like not like a regular like Hershey's one. I did like a Ghirardelli chocolate bunny. Oh my god, game changer! It was the best thing I've ever had in my
2
entire
years
life.
ago, I had a really high level chocolate bunny
No, Randy,
here in
don't
the
be doing
opening
that.
drive.
No, we're not doing that again. Randy,
It was fun, Dan. You would have loved being here. Michelle said I turned green.
I just shake my head at some of the things that have happened in your life, Randy. That's all I do.
I turned green watching you eat that.
Or I just move on to the rundown and say
it was delicious. If you can get the 1 pound Reese's bunny,
Don't eat
go
it.
for it.
Do not eat it in an hour, though, please.
What? Someone
how
from
could you
the-
eat that thing in an hour?
I'm a competitor, Dan.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. Someone from the 314 says, I work at Lululemon. Parents come in and will spend upwards to $1,000 on Easter gifts.
Well, you have the wherewithal. If you have it, go for it.
$1,000
Yeah.
on Easter gifts?
That's pretty crazy in my mind, but somebody likes it. Hey, if you have somebody that you love, give them an Easter gift that they're going to love. Maybe let them pick it out, but still let them.
What are you going to get Joan?
I don't know.
Candy that you'll eat anyway?
I have, but yeah. I haven't started this process yet, Dave.
Yeah, me neither. I need to start getting on it, though.
Yeah, it's Wednesday. Wednesday before Thursday, which is before one of our favorite segments of the year on Friday.
No, we're going to, okay, at 8:15, we got Jamie Rivers.
Yeah.
No,
we have one more?
I'm going to miss it. I'm a little bummed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Rush hour reset.
You'll be able to hear it, though, on our podcast, which is brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Center. This will be on Friday.
Picking some MVPs.
Have our great annual.
We're going to roll the stone out and have some fun.
Should we play the cameo I got a couple of years ago? I got a cameo from the big guy.
No.
Don't do it, Randy. Don't do
Well,
it.
we can do that. We'll play it. We'll play the cameo I got from the big guy on Friday, too.
I'm going to take that segment off.
I was flattered.
Okay.
I was flattered. Coming up here on, and thank you, Matthew, and thank you very much for the text for Ask Uncle Randy. That kind of went off the rails a little bit.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Spring training is over. Hey, what did you learn about the Cardinals during spring training? And what do you have no idea about? We'll tell you what we think. We want your texts next on 101 ESPN. Hey, I want you to know about my friends at Hoffman Brothers Heating, Cooling, Electrical, and Plumbing. And if you have any electrical or plumbing issues that you need taken care of during the next couple of months or anytime, get my friends at Hoffman Brothers out to your house. They're on the web at Hoffman Bros, HOFFMANN, HoffmanBros.com. And what they're going to do is, if you need ceiling fans or new lighting fixtures installed, they can take care of it, and they will do sensational work. They've done that at my house. If you have a plumbing problem, they'll come out and they'll take care of it. Their experts are the best in the business, and they will take care of it for you. And obviously, they have done heating and cooling in St. Louis for more than 40 years, and you need to get that air conditioner checked, folks. Take it from me, because we all know in St. Louis it's going to be really hot during the summer. You don't want your air conditioner going out. And when Hoffman Brothers comes out, they're going to make sure that your air conditioner is good to go for the summer months here in St. Louis. Find them on the web at HoffmanBros.com or give them a call, 314-664-3011. Make your appointment today. Hoffman Brothers, an American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. Give them a call or hop on the web today.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals finished out the spring yesterday with a win over the Cubs 7-2. They will start the regular season on Thursday with a 3:10 first pitch out in L.A. facing off against the Dodgers in a 4-game series. And the Blues are back in action tomorrow night facing off against the Flames down at Enterprise Center, 7 p.m. puck drop. You can catch the pregame show right here on your home for the St. Louis Blues, 101 ESPN. Speaking of the Blues, coming up, Jamie Rivers talks with Randy, Danny, and Brooke at 8:15. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your Rosen shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Cardinals have completed spring training. They won their last 2 games to finish 13-12 with 5 ties in spring training. And we were able to glean a lot from this. Well, not a whole lot, but enough so that we have an interesting approach to the regular season. Victor Scott will be with the Cardinals on opening day tomorrow in L.A. or Thursday. And yeah, that's tomorrow.
It is tomorrow,
in
Randy.
LA. And my hope would be that he'll be in center field. And my real hope would be that Victor Scott will be the leadoff man. If you have a center fielder leadoff man, get him going. He stole 4 bases, had a 404 on base during the spring. Again, I'm not somebody who takes an awful lot out of March, and the guy doesn't have a ton of experience, but you might as well get him going, rip the Band-Aid off. So what I learned is that the Cardinals do have a little bit more of an allegiance to athleticism in 2024 than they've had in past years, and I hope they utilize that athleticism. A lot of it's not going to be there because Edmonds hurt, because Newt Barr's hurt, but they're appears to be a more athletic team. And the other thing, Brooke, that I really liked about this team during spring training, I loved what the bullpen was able to accomplish.
I like the bullpen a lot, too, and that's something that I'm looking forward to. Now, another thing that I feel like with the Cardinals that I've learned from spring training is to expect the unexpected, because a lot of things happen that none of us were expecting. One, the amount of injuries that the Cardinals are dealing with. You went through the full rundown of that. So many injuries. I would say that a little bit of them were freak accidents. With Dylan Carlson, that collision, that was just absolutely awful to see. He's dealing with, what is it? And they said it was a
AC joint,
right?
The old Sam Bradford
Sprained
injury.
AC joint.
So how long will that take, you think?
Sam Bradford suffered that injury, I think, in the 4th game of his senior year and never played again
Oh, okay. Well,
in college.
anyways, going back to what I was talking about with spring training is to expect the unexpected, the amount of injuries you're dealing with. And honestly, I was expecting to see something from Victor Scott II this spring training, but I don't know if I was expecting this to the point where he would really force himself into the conversation of being an outfielder in the bigs. And now with these injuries, that opportunity has opened up for him. Now, my big question I still do have, something that I'm still trying to figure out, is this starting rotation. One, because we don't have Sonny Gray currently, so I just would like to see what that would look like with Sonny Gray more, and you can't really tell what the starting rotation will look like until we get into actual games. But Dan, you mentioned this earlier. I would have liked to see Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson and some of the other guys go a little bit deeper during spring training and see a little bit more innings out of them.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen innings. And one of the things that Randy pointed out, and I think it's correct, is that you don't learn a ton about veterans in March. You know, guys are working on things, but I did want to see more innings and them built up a little bit more. And maybe they felt like they were built up enough. They know how to get themselves ready for a regular season. But I'm with you, Brooke. I would have loved to have seen more innings from probably 3 different guys. What we learned, the outfield is a mess. Outfield is a mess right now because of all the injuries. I think we also learned that at some point, Thomas Saggese is going to be a member of the big leagues. Second most at-bats. That is meaningful to me. And when you're a young kid, those at-bats mean a little bit more in March than for Paul Goldschmidt. He had the most runs batted in. He hit .325. What I have no idea about is, can they get through the injuries? Is there enough depth with Victor Scott? Can Burleson play left field on an everyday basis? How will Brendan Donovan look out there? I don't think we have any idea what that looks like.
And I wonder, with that group of players that we're talking about, if philosophically the Cardinals have turned the corner. And again, it is spring training, but Victor Scott II had 4 stolen bases during the spring. Mason Wynn had 3. Brendan Donovan had 2. Jordan Walker had 2. Alec Burleson had 1. These are people that are going to be playing, and they were, they weren't turned loose, but they were allowed to run more than the Cardinals have run in the past. And I wonder if we saw the onset of a philosophical change offensively for the Cardinals.
I would say if I'm Ollie, I'm going for broke.
Me too.
I got some pretty good athletes, and if the pitching staff is not what we expect it to be, which is innings from my starters, and I have to come back in some games if it's within 2 runs, I would say I'm running. Now, if I'm down 5-0, it just doesn't make a lot of sense, which they found themselves in that spot a lot. But generally speaking, I think this team is fairly athletic when you look at what you have in center, shortstop, right field. Second base can be an athletic position with Brendan Donovan. I like it. I think you steal a little bit more than they did last year.
Let's go to the text line. From the through and 4, 13 home runs hit the entire preseason. Should we be worried? I know we were the last team to hit our first home run. Weird. ...
It's a hard ballpark to hit home runs in. Even Mark McGwire had, he did hit a few into the Marlins front office back in the day. Yeah. But even he had trouble hitting home runs down at Roger Dean Stadium. So did Pujols. It's not an easy place. 13 is not the number you want. I think the Pirates hit something like 45 spring training home runs. So you'd like to hit more, but I don't know that's indicative of what the Cardinals will do during the regular season.
Do we know about Goldie? Do we know about Arenado? And I think we do. I mean, their track record is there, and they're going to get their fair share of home runs. I don't know how many home runs Nolan Gorman will hit. I think he's a 30 home run guy. I think that's something that you say no idea about. And the one guy that quietly has been overlooked a little bit in spring, it's like just a given, is Mason Wynn.
Yeah.
And I don't have any idea about him. I know that he's going to be good defensively, but he needs to make some adjustments from what we saw at the end of last year where he hit about 150, not many at-bats, small sample size, but you're still learning, I think, a little bit about Mason Wynn.
Yeah. By the way, here's a number for you. The Cardinals hit those 17 home runs. Cubs and Brewers tied for the major league lead with 49 apiece. The Reds were in 6th place with 44 home runs during the spring. The Brewers were in 9th with 41.
Where do they play, though?
Yeah, let's see.
Arizona is my point.
Aside from Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh's in Florida.
They are in Florida.
That's a better ballpark to hit home runs in than Roger Dean Stadium. But that's a pretty wide chasm.
That is a pretty big difference there. So you're saying the Cardinals should do their spring training in Arizona, basically is what we're saying here.
In a home run hitter's ballpark, yeah.
So from the 618, Donovan needs to be the leadoff hitter when he plays. Scott should hit last. He's a double-A player! ! ! ! ! ! ! !
Well, so far, that's all he has played, so that factually is correct, yes. That being said, I'm somebody, and I love Whitey Ball. I love people that can run. I totally get the 394 on-base percentage a couple of years ago. And yes, with a lineup like this, if you feel like Brendan Donovan can set the table, he is a great table setter. But I want this club to be able to manufacture runs. And I think if you have a guy like Scott at the top of the lineup, it just lengthens things. And Brendan Donovan's a pretty good hitter, too. He's not just a leadoff hitter. He can hit. So he's a guy that can lengthen your lineup, too, especially a left-handed bat. Hitting 6th or 7th could be really impressive for the Cardinals.
My lineup has Donovan at the top. Then I have Goldie, Gorman, Arenado. So I'm splitting up my lefties. Contreras, Walker, Burleson, I think he's going to get the start in left. I had Gorman getting the DH role and Donovan at second base. Wynn batting 8th, and I do have Victor Scott batting 9th. And I'm with you, Randy. I'm torn on this. I'm totally torn. I mean, do I just pull the Band-Aid off and say, you're starting in center, you're the leadoff guy, or am I trying to reduce as much pressure on him as I can? The other part is when you roll over a lineup, you get first time through, he could come up first in an inning. He could be a table setter. You just don't know. But
you've already got Mason Wynn doing that too.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm thinking Scott 9th though, and trying to reduce as much pressure as I can.
Could you imagine the pressure that it would put on a defense if you have Mason Wynn on and Victor Scott on base?
Run wild.
Yeah, and then Goldie at the plate.
Yeah.
Because Goldie can handle the hitting. A lot of hitters can't handle somebody running in front of them. Goldie can.
Movement bothers guys. I mean, they'll literally say, don't steal.
Right.
I mean, there'll be a call from the guy at the plate and something will go to his cap or he'll wipe down his leg or whatever, some signal to indicate don't run on this play. And I'm with you. Goldie is now one of those guys. He's going to say, do whatever you need to do to get another base.
Yep. Coming up, get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. Take it or leave it, coming your way on 101 ESPN. Mentality is a great local healthcare facility, and it's dedicated to helping men perform their very best. Guys, when you pass your 30th birthday, you just don't perform your best. We get tired, we get weaker, we aren't the people that we used to be, and that's because of a natural drop in testosterone levels. That happens in every single man, and that's something that you can quell. That's something that you can stop by going to Mentality. Find out what they do at lowtusa.com. What Mentality does is they provide an FDA-approved testosterone supplemental treatment that will get your testosterone level back to where it was when you were in your 20s. All you need to do is go to lowtusa.com, make an appointment at one of their clinics in Chesterfield or South County. They'll find out where your testosterone level is, and then they'll restore it. And that low energy and motivation that you're dealing with goes by the wayside. Belly fat, feeling bloated, maybe a lack of lean muscle that you used to take for granted, you'll be able to regain that as well. They'll work with your insurance company to make sure that you pay as little out-of-pocket expense as possible, and you'll feel great again if you go to Mentality at lowtusa.com.
Send it right back. Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
It is time for Tioli on 101 ESPN. Brooke, Dan, Matthew, and Randy. And Matthew, by the way, is going to have a long, long weekend. You're out of town after today, right?
Yes, sir.
We're going to miss you. We're going to miss you.
I'm going to miss you guys, too.
But
Don't lie.
Have a great time.
No, are you kidding me? I'm going to be listening to the show and everything.
No, you won't.
I mean, it's because I have crippling anxiety, and no, I will definitely listen to the show.
You'll listen to the show? Why?
Oh,
Just
yeah.
enjoy your vacation. Enjoy your time off.
Just completely forget him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how that works. No, I'll be listening to the show both ways. Don't worry about that.
Oh, man.
Oh, okay.
I can't.
When I was good, I had no idea.
My
how Brooke had
brain
done in the
cannot.
fight.
I cannot completely just detach from it. I can't do it. It bothers me. So I have to listen to it.
Trust
We need
me,
to
it's
work
not
on
that
that.
hard.
I know.
So, kids, have you ever been just mindlessly scrolling through TV channels on a weekend in the summer and seen the 3-point league, the Big Three league, the three on three basketball? Ice Cube owns that, and he has offered Caitlin Clark $5 million to play 8 regular season games and 2 playoff games, and she'd still be able to play in the WNBA. Take it or leave it. Not only is Caitlin Clark the best thing ever for women's college basketball, she'd be the best thing for the Big Three league, too.
I'll take that.
People would tune in to watch her, right? I would.
Yeah. Jacking up threes?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'd take that for sure.
I had no idea that Ice Cube owns that.
Yeah, owns the whole league.
Oh, okay.
So, pretty cool.
Very random.
I interviewed him at Wrigley Field when he came in to promote the Big Three. Couldn't have been a nicer man. Couldn't have been nicer.
Nice.
It was very interesting. I
bet.
said, do I call you Mr. Ice or Cube? Or Mr. Ice Cube?
What
Did he laugh?
He laughed.
That's
he
good.
didn't, he
That's
didn't
good.
say. I said, I'm just going to call you Ice Cube. He said, yeah, I like that. I said, okay.
What is
That's
his
what I did.
legal name? Sorry, I'm putting you guys on the spot
O'Shea
here.
Jackson.
Frozen water?
Sorry, took me a minute. Yes, his legal name is O'Shea Jackson.
Okay.
Jackson.
Okay. All right. Well, take it or leave it, guys. I always love this time of year, as you know, and Randy, you feel this way as well. I love my snacks. I also
too.
love to look at the new launches around all the ballparks across the country of what they have and what they're debuting. The White Sox are going to debut a campfire milkshake, which will be available this season. Take it or leave it, the Cardinals should have a gooey butter cake milkshake or a concrete so it's even more St. Louis.
100% take it, yes.
Do they have concretes at this stadium?
That's what I thought. I thought Ted Drews had a
Ted Drews
booth.
is there.
Do
Yep.
they have it? But I thought it was just the ice cream that
I think
you
it
could
is,
get there.
I think
We need to
anything to
work on
bring you into
this.
the ballpark, why not?
Look at this thing, Dan.
Looks pretty good. Yeah, looks tremendous. Looks like you might get sick.
Of course, you might, but it's kind of worth it. Will you get sick by that or what the White Sox do? I don't know.
A little bit of both.
If it's worth it, it's worth it, though. You take advantage, yeah. Just blast through that invisible fence.
All right, take it or leave it. You guys know who DJ Burns is. He's the 6'9", 300-pound forward for NC State. Take it or leave it. He's the most intriguing player left in the NCAA tournament.
Dan, I'll take that.
Ooh, yeah, I'll take
He's
that.
fun to watch.
He is. He's a big fella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going up and down. He said he's trying to lose weight. He said, but this is what people recognize me for, so I like it. He embraced it.
Yeah.
I like that, too.
I do, too. I think that's great. Now, Zion has apparently disavowed that. And
Yes.
he's playing really well. He's, as they say, he lost a fourth grader.
Oh,
Matthew, what do you have on the text line, please?
Take it or leave it. The Cardinals' outfield will be a bigger issue this season than the pitching.
Leave it.
I'm going to leave that,
I'm
too.
going to leave it.
Yeah.
A little concerned about the starters. Not a little, I'm a lot.
I'm right there with you, Dan.
It'd be nice to have a number one, but they don't have one, so it is what it is. I'm not really worried about it. I'm intrigued even with the outfield injuries that we have right now with our number 1 and 2 left and center fielders out and your second center fielder out. I'm still intrigued by this outfield.
I'm intrigued to see if Victor Scott does what he can, we all think he can do coming out of spring training, is what do you do then with Lars Nootbaar? When he's healthy, he goes to left. But what happens to Tommy Edman, who seems to be nowhere close to swinging the bat, and it's going to take a while for him to get timing down? What happens?
Long rehab
utility
for Tommy's. Yeah, Tommy Edman should be a utility guy anyway. As much as we love the guy, and we do, he's a great guy.
Great player, really, to be able to go from second base to center and play the way that he's done.
But he's like Jose Oquendo in that he's really not a very good offensive player. We love him, but he's not a very good offensive player. He's best served and best serves the club by not starting.
I happen to agree with that. I love him bouncing around at second. Can play short, can play the outfield. I'm kind of, and you can find at bats for him.
Yeah.
You can find at bats. You just got to get creative.
Well, he just signed the extension. Does that play into this as well? If he will get.
I don't think it's a big money extension, so I think that I think that they can play the group that gives them the best opportunity to win and have him on the bench.
I agree. And just here's the other thing: if you perform, you play.
Yeah.
Just make it that simple.
Yep.
Now, there are contracts that you say, well, I got to play this guy
That's
a
what
lot.
I was going to say.
But that's, to Randy's point, that's not one of them.
Right.
Matthew?
Take it or leave it. Lars Nootbaar comes back. Victor Scott's playing well. Donovan moves to second. Tommy Edman becomes your utility 10th man.
There we go. Yep. Bing, bang, boom.
Yeah.
And then Gorman is your DH.
Gorman would be my DH, and I want to see him hit against some lefties, too.
Me too.
I like this one. Take it or leave it. If Michaelis pitches 200 innings with a 3.6 or better ERA, the Cardinals win the division.
Leave it necessarily. You
need others.
Can't just be him.
Exactly.
Right.
I'll tell you what, though, if he does that, that's a hell of a year.
Oh, that'd be
is.
great.
If you're under a 3.6 with 200 innings,
Yep. And
that's a good year.
If you could get Sonny Gray back and have him if he can replicate his career year of last year, and you have Michaelis doing what he's doing, then all of a sudden you've got something.
Pretty good one, too.
Yep.
And then you just need innings.
Yesterday's Kyle Gibson.
You need that. And I don't need the 9 strikeouts. If I can get 5 to 6 out of him, 5 to 6 out of Lynn, and Zach Thompson pitch well, which I love that Zach Thompson is in the rotation.
Me too.
And I haven't even mentioned Matt's. I'd like Matt's in the bullpen. Maybe does that ever happen this year? Could happen, I guess, depending on what Zach Thompson does. And Matt's, again, you perform, you play.
I think it's safe to say that at some point during the season, Steven Matz will not be in the rotation.
His track record is that he gets hurt.
Yes.
Take it or leave it. Mason Wynn surprises you offensively this year with 15 home runs, 15 stolen bases, and hitting 250 plus.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I'd be surprised.
Hit 18 home runs last year in the minors.
By the 250 plus?
Yeah.
A little bit of everything.
All right.
I got 15 steals.
I can see the 15 steals, maybe not the 15 home runs just yet for him.
Don't see the 15 home runs, and I see him around a 240 hitter. We're just taking guesses here. We're spitballing.
We are.
Spitballing. If he hits 240, he's in the lineup, though, every day. Mm-hmm. If he's hitting 200, then we got another story to talk about.
The Kingswood Cannon.
Take it or leave it. OBP is the only stat you should be looking at when talking about a leadoff hitter.
Leave it.
I'm going to leave that. I look at every player with OPS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So OBP is a good one for a leadoff hitter, but yeah, I'm an OPS guy too.
OPS, on base plus slug.
But I do like the idea of people that actually do swing the bat and drive in runs too.
Or walk. Mm-hmm. I don't mind guys that walk.
The thing that the reason that I always thought that Albert was a better hitter than Trout is because Albert went up swinging the bat trying to drive in runs, and Trout goes up with his first thought being taking a walk. And I think a hitter that good should be trying to drive in runs.
It's kind of the rub with Joey Votto.
Yep.
Joey Votto is the perfect example of he was willing to draw a walk with runners on, and in a lineup that was limited. Like, expand your strike zone and be aggressive.
And a guy with incredible bat-to-ball skills, too.
Yes.
He didn't swing and miss much. And that's the same thing with Trout. I don't know why Trout's trying to take walks when he can drive in a run.
He would choke up with 2 strikes.
Yeah.
Votto would.
Yeah.
And that's a rarity in today's game.
Take it or leave it. With the way that center backs are dropping for City, we need Randy Carricker with a taser next week.
Well, it doesn't have to be me. No, my rule is just defenders get a taser. You like this?
You just need a body out there.
Seems illegal, but I see where you're going.
Well, no,
with
it would be one of the rules.
This is what I'm saying. If Randy's the one out there with the taser, I think it kind of evens the playing ground a little bit.
Do we want Randy in charge of the taser is the other question.
Drop somebody like a sack of onions.
Speaking of which.
One of my favorite Shannonisms.
Oh, I got one here. With taser, there was a fan that ran onto the field in Philly, and he said they're chasing him down and lasering him.
Yeah. We have that here, I think.
Okay. So I'm paraphrasing, but it was a laser instead of a taser.
Yeah, that happened in San Francisco. Kevin Harlan had a great play-by-play call. It was like the opening Monday night game of a year. And Harlan is talking, he's to the 30, he's to the 25, he's to the 20. Oh, he is tasered down.
I like that Harlan saw an opening because TV stopped showing it, and Harlan was like, what if I just play-by-play the streaker, and then everyone's going to talk about my call and not even going to mention the TV call. That was a genius
Kevin's
move
the
by
best. I love Ian Eagle, and I'm glad that he's doing the Final Four, but Kevin Harlan is the best guy going. And Kevin Harlan, well, if
he's awfully good.
If you're taking the best guy doing basketball, Kevin should be doing it. I wonder if he's still doing it on radio. He has for many years.
I think so. Take it or leave it. The best young player for the Cardinals this year is Ivan Herrera.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That is
a really good one.
I'm going to leave that just because he won't have a chance to play as much as an everyday player, and more attention will be put on an everyday player.
Jordan Walker's a younger player than Ivan Herrera.
Yep. So that's where I'm going with this.
Yeah. So I'll go with that. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Randy.
And thank you very much for your texts. We do appreciate them. Coming up, how should Victor Scott be deployed by the Cardinals? That's coming your way on 101 ESPN.
Hey, it's Danny Mac for Stewart's American Mortgage. If you're someone who is looking to purchase a home or refinance, or if you're looking to consolidate some of that ugly credit card debt, maybe you don't know exactly what direction to go in any of these things, call Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage. He joins us this morning. Stewie, I want to go back into a refi. Should I or should I not?
Danny, this is a big question, and what people don't realize is not all mortgages are the same. When you do a cash-out refinance, the rate is significantly higher than if you just take an existing mortgage and redo it. One's called a cash-out loan. One's called a rate and term loan. So if you did a cash-out refinance, you did it in the last 6 to 12 months, you ought to refinance right now free with the bagel loan, get the better rate, even though rates haven't dropped into the way we want it to be. you still can get a better rate from what you got from that cash out loan. Do it now, and then when rates go down later, you do it again as long as it's free.
All right, Stewie, thank you. Stuart is your guy. He makes it easy. Any questions on rates, the industry, the trends, give Stuart a call. You can call him directly, his personal cell phone, or text him right now, 314-324-4440. Again, that number, 314-324-4440, or you can Google the Bagel Loan.
NMLS number 226715.
A fresh perspective on the day's top stories. It's the Opening Drive's Fresh Take.
Danny Mac, Randy Carricker, the Opening Drive on 101 ESPN. And Victor Scott, presumably, will be the Cardinals' opening day center fielder tomorrow in L.A. with the injuries to both Tommy Edman and Dylan Carlson. In his minor league career, Victor Scott has 656 at-bats. He has 190 hits, a career minor league batting average of 290 with a 367 on base. He has hit 11 home runs in minor league baseball as well. How should he be deployed by the Cardinals, Brooke?
So this is how I have mine line up for opening day as of right now. Excuse me. I have Donovan in left field. I have Paul Goldschmidt at first, Nolan Gorman at second, Nolan Arenado at third, Wills Contreras as your catcher. I have Burley as your DH, which of course, will either be Burley or Carp, but I think for the Dodgers series, you're going to have Burley. And then Jordan Walker as your right fielder, Mason Wynn as your shortstop, and then I have Victor Scott II as your center fielder.
Victor Scott, 12 games this spring, had 4 stolen bases. So if you would put that out to a 162-game season, that means he'd have 54 stolen bases. So I don't think that you could expect him to be at the clip that he was last year, which was minor league baseball plus the Arizona Fall League. He had 113. better pitchers, better catchers. Release times are much better. Keeping him closer at first base is something you have to keep in mind. But the one thing that stands out for me, and we talked about OPS with a leadoff man. On-base percentage is huge too. 436 this spring. He had 4 walks, so he can be patient, something that he did in the minor leagues. But young players, at times they get over anxious. So I'll be looking at him being down in the lineup. I just don't want to put him in a spot where he feels he has to do everything. Mm-hmm. That's why I would put him down in the lineup. But Randy, you made the point too. I like him at the top. I mean, if he had a year under his belt, I'd say put him at the top. And I get a little cautious with a guy that has not played above Double-A having to be your leadoff man, but pull the Band-Aid off because you're a major leaguer.
I interviewed him and had a chance to speak to him at the Baseball Writers Dinner in January, and he has Vince Coleman type swagger. I said, "What's your goal for 2024?" And he said, "I'm going to make my." He didn't say, "I hope to." He said, "I'm going to make my major league debut." And he is well aware of Vince Coleman, and he is well aware of the intimidation factor that the stolen base holds in baseball. I don't want to have that diminished at all. So if I were the Cardinals, and I know this sounds crazy, I would say, Victor, you're my leadoff hitter, and you have a green light.
I'd give him the green light every time.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
And he can be for the Cardinals, what Ellie De La Cruz was when he came up for the Reds last year. He can change your entire offense because of his speed.
He brings a spark. He brings that spark. He brings the speed. And now, I know you guys were talking about OPS. 770 OPS right now through spring training. And Brendan Donovan, who is currently, we've seen him be your leadoff hitter, and it seems like that's what's going to happen. 506 OPS. I think eventually I can see Victor Scott II being your leadoff hitter, but I just like starting out, maybe taking off a little bit of the pressure of him, having him down lower in the lineup. But I think he can 100% rise to the occasion, eventually take that spot. Now, what happens, too, because we saw that they were comfortable with having Lars Nootbaar be another leadoff guy. What happens when he comes back into the equation?
Back-to-back kind of leadoff guys,
yeah.
Interchangeable parts, find out who is going to be someone that is hot, ride the hot hand. I think that's something I'd look at. I love how Donovan takes pitches and the ability to go the other way. Mm-hmm. And when you're a leadoff guy, if you can take pitches, the man on deck or the third place hitter gets a look and to see how he's approaching. If I'm a left-handed batter, I'm paying close attention to how Tyler Glasnow, let's say, tomorrow is approaching left-handed batters because Donovan is going to see his fair share of pitches.
Yep. I am admittedly old school, but I would love to see a guy that gets on base, a leadoff hitter that can run, a guy that gets on base like Donovan second. I don't have any problem at all with hitting Goldschmidt third, Gorman fifth, Arenado sixth. I can do that. I have no problem with that. I'm not about ego. And if Arenado insists upon hitting fourth, fine. He can hit fourth. Then I can hit Gorman fifth, Contreras sixth, Walker seventh. Or once I get Nootbaar back, I can hit him down in the lineup too. But my point is, I love having the idea of table setters and then table cleaners.
So one of the things I was thinking about too is Jordan Walker batting second and trying to get him off to a great start and moving Goldie to third, Arenado fourth. Now you have 3 right-handed batters, and then you'd stagger at the bottom of your lineup righties, lefties, but in the middle you'd have a lot of righties, a lot of lefties. And so as a manager, you're thinking about matchups in the back end of games, and maybe you stagger your lineup. The other thing with Victor Scott is that the league is going to figure him out very quickly.
They will.
And it'll be incumbent on him to make adjustments. And it's cliche, but man, it's true. And once they start getting video on him, and I'm sure the Dodgers are looking through all the video from spring training, he could be a little susceptible to pitches up in the zone, kind of like what we saw with Nolan Gorman in his first year. A lot of teams got him out with fastballs up, and that's something you have to be careful with a young player, just not overexposing him, and that's why I'd bat him down in the lineup.
I agree with you, and I think that's 100% what's going to happen here to start things out, but he seems to have a lot of maturity about him, and you talked about Vince Coleman. I don't know if you guys saw the story that Rob Raines currently has up right now, where guess who was one of the first people to reach out to him?
When Vince?
It was Vince Coleman. It was. And so I think that that's great that he also, as a young player, that sounds silly. Of course, you would think that all young players would reach out to people like that, like a Vince Coleman or somebody who, like Ozzie Smith or something like that. But I think it's really awesome that he's making sure that he's keeping in contact with guys like that, asking for advice, guys who's been through that situation. I know you have a lot of leadership in that clubhouse right now, but to reach out to greats within the organization, I think, is also something that shows his maturity.
Wonder if those two got together to talk about how to steal bases.
I would love to know that.
Just pick Vince Coleman's brain on what are you looking for, righty, lefty, what's your trigger point, how big are your leads, do you lean at all, do you lean one way or another? I'd find that really interesting.
Vince is an artist, too. He really understands base stealing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that'd be great. By the way, I'll never forget him coming up because it was right after the start of the season. Willie got hurt, and so they bring up Vince, and the story is great that Whitey said, hey, you're going to be here for 2 weeks, and then you're going to go back. At that time, the Cardinals AAA team was at Louisville. You're going to go back to Louisville in 2 weeks. And Vince said, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
And then he leads him off in the first game, and Vince, he does go 0 for 3, but he winds up with a hit and a couple of stolen bases. Then in his second game, he goes 4 for 5 and just lights it up and never looked back.
Yeah.
And one of the keys for Victor Scott will be getting off to a hot start because it's so much easier to have your batting average up at 300. It looks a lot better if you're hitting 400 early than hitting 100 and trying to get back up to 300.
Another point of this that we haven't even talked about is his defense. And defense, even in slumps, for the most part, at the plate will play. And you're in a very spacious ballpark at Dodger Stadium. You go to San Diego, very spacious. So on a defensive side, I like this move and what you have and what he brings to the table.
All due respect to Edman and Carlson and Newt Barr, but this is the best defensive center fielder in the Cardinal organization.
Absolutely.
I think it's a good problem to have, honestly, that you will have here soon. Maybe Lars Nootbaar coming back. Maybe Tommy Edman seems to be taking a little bit longer. And then when Dylan Carlson comes back, just whoever's doing the best. And if Victor Scott II is doing that, if he's playing as well as expected to continue to start the season, then you just need to let the best players go out there.
I would imagine that Vince Coleman, to an extent, was taught by Willie McGee. And who's on the staff right now with the Cardinals?
Yep,
Willie McGee.
Right.
So if I'm Victor Scott, I'm at his hip. I'm talking about defensive alignment, where you need me. And Willie's the one that sets the protocol for defensive alignment. But I'm also asking him about everything else in terms of how to steal bases at this level.
Yeah,
it's a different animal at this level, man.
So it'll be fun to have him in the lineup, Victor Scott II, tomorrow, presumably making his major league debut. Man, I'll feel bad if I don't even know Michael Ciani, but if Victor Scott II isn't in the Cardinal lineup tomorrow, I'm going to be bummed. What's the point of having him here if you're not going to play him?
He's got to be in.
I would think so.
If you're up here, he's got to play.
Yep. Coming up next, the Blues take on the Calgary Flames tomorrow night. Jamie Rivers, no?
We're going to have to bump Jamie to 8:45.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Okay.
He woke up feeling a little rough with the throat, so we're going to give Jamie about 30 minutes to try to get some tea going and bounce back a little bit.
Coming up then, the Blues told us at the beginning of the season they hope to battle for third in the division and maybe be a team that battled for a playoff spot. So with that as a backdrop, should we be happy about where the Blues are right now? That's next on 101 ESPN.
It's time for a DraftKings at Casino Queen Redbird report on 101 ESPN.
Brooke Grimsley here for your Redbird report. The Cardinals with some good news and some bad news on their outfield situation. The bad, Dylan Carlson has been diagnosed with a sprained AC joint in his left shoulder following a collision with Jordan Walker during Monday's game. The good for all of the VS2 fans out there in Carlson's place, Victor Scott II has rejoined the team and will now be the Cardinals' opening day center fielder. In the Cardinals spring training finale yesterday against the Cubs, Kyle Gibson allowing just 1 run and struck out 9 over 5 innings to help the Cardinals beat the Cubs 7-2 in Arizona. Next, the Cardinals will head to Los Angeles to prepare for Thursday's season opener against the Dodgers.
The Redbird Report is presented by DraftKings at Casino Queen. Play, stay, dine at DraftKings at Casino Queen.
Hey, Together Credit Union, City SC's official banking partner, is offering you a safe and reliable way to grow your money. Certificates of deposit are attractive investments for new and experienced investors because the return on your investment is fixed and guaranteed. And Together Credit Union is offering 2 fantastic CD promotions that you won't find anywhere else. Your first CD rate option is an 11-month CD term with a 5.40 annual percentage yield. Your second CD rate option is a 19-month CD term with a 5.00 annual percentage yield. Both options require a minimum balance of $1,000. All you need to do is go to your nearest Together Credit Union branch or visit togethercu.org today to learn more. Early withdrawal penalties apply and may reduce earnings on the account. Rate offers are accurate as of January 18th, respectively. Rates are subject to change without notice. Other rates and terms available. Membership eligibility required. Federally insured by the NCUA. And while you're at Together Credit Union, check out their exclusive City SC debit card from Together Credit Union. It allows you a free lifetime My City Plus membership from City SC, in-stadium discounts on food, beverage, and merchandise, and most exciting, express entry into City SC matches. It's all from Together Credit Union. Membership eligibility required. Federally insured by the NCUA.
So at this time, you don't know. I mean, we could make some transactions that keep us more competitive. Mm-hmm. Right now we could be doing things that say, well, that puts that off for a couple of years, but really help us a lot. So right. It's a little unclear right now. I think either way, we'll be competitive. I don't think we'll be considered one of the elite teams, but I think we'll still be competitive in our division.
That is Blues chairman Tom Stillman during the summer with us here on 101 ESPN. Said we will not be elite. We will be competitive. And with 10 games left in the season, I think we can all agree that logically speaking, the Blues probably are not going to make the playoffs. But they have been competitive for 72 games, competitive for a playoff spot. And I think with the combination of what Tom Stillman told us last summer here in studio, with what Doug Armstrong said at his season opening media session, where he said, hey, I hope to battle for third place in the division. Now, the Blues never did threaten that. Well, for a long time, didn't threaten that. As a Blues fan, I feel like I was treated honestly by the front office and by the ownership. And with that being the case, I have no complaints about where the Blues are because this was the game plan. The game plan was not to be a Stanley Cup champion. You'd love to be a Stanley Cup champion every year, but realistically, only one team wins. And sometimes you have to take a step back before you can take a step back up. And I think that's what the Blues have done here.
I remember when we did that interview with him, at first I was a little taken aback because I was like, whoa, I'm not used to that much honesty because sometimes you're sold sunshine and lollipops, as we know. And of course, every team says that they want to win a championship, that they're going to compete, they're going to make the playoffs. That's what you, of course, want to sell. But I really appreciated the honesty from Stillman. And he was 100% right. This is about a 500 team. They're exactly what he expected and probably what Doug Armstrong expected this season. Now, there were times where there was some flashes of how good this team potentially could be, but they could just never consistently string it together.
314 says it was a season that went as expected. A fringe playoff team that got young talent, good experience, and is ready to take the next step next season. I agree with that. I mean, these guys right now down the stretch, every game is like a playoff game. Not quite like the intensity of a playoff game, but it's darn close when you're in it for your playoff lives. And there's been some good things. I think that Robert Thomas has taken another step forward to being one of the elite players in this this league, and I mean elite. I truly believe that. I think Jake Neighbors has shown what he can do. You had Matt Kessel emerge on the defensive side, and Jordan Bennington was as good as advertised. And really the goaltender depth that they have with Hofer, too. So it's frustrating, and if you're a Blues fan, I think to an extent, because you want to see this team in the playoffs every year, but sometimes you do need to take that step back, be honest with the fan base, be honest with yourself, and realize you probably are a fringe team that might sneak in. It's going to be tough. 10 games left, 6 points back, 6 of the 10 at home, so still have a chance, and that's all you can ask for, mathematically alive.
They're not controlling their own destiny at this point. That's the situation they're in. Also a great year for Colton Parayko. We were able to see a fully healthy season with him, and I think that he was fantastic this season. Now, doesn't it feel like that the goal for the Blues going in the season and moving forward is to do enough where they can stay in retool mode rather than rebuild mode?
I'll be interested if they buy out any contracts. And Doug has not done that, Doug Armstrong. No. And would they be willing to do that to give them more flexibility with some of the players that play next year?
I think one of the problems is it gets prohibitive with the longer deals. Krug still has so much, and I don't even know if they want to buy out Torrey Krug. They very well could look at him as a guy that with a good team, and if paired with the right guy. I mean, we tend to forget that Torrey Krug was paired with Zdeno Chara for 6 years, and that helps. So if you get him a better, not better, but a more fitting partner, they might think that there is value in Torrey Krug. That being said, they did try to trade him last offseason, didn't they? But these guys have so much term left. I wonder if it winds up being a valuable commodity to get the money from a buyout.
From the 3 and 4, you just don't want the retool to go beyond 3 years without a playoff appearance. I think the fans will be okay with a 3-year retool.
I think some will, some won't, because expectations are just to get in. You know, find a way in. 3 years is a long time, not making the playoffs. And I think next year the pressure is on that they have to get in. I do, with some of the young players that they have coming back.
Tomorrow night, in addition to the Blues game at 7 o'clock that you can hear here on 101 ESPN, at 7:30 on ESPNU and ESPN Plus and on Fubo, you'll be able to watch Minnesota versus Omaha. You'll be able to watch Jimmy Snuggerud in the Sioux Falls region of the NCAA hockey tournament. And he's part of the future here. JK has mentioned that he's a goal scorer, and the Blues could use another one of those. And my anticipation would be that, boy, they got to find another center, don't they? Right now, I wouldn't count on Buchnevich being a center. I wouldn't count on Braden Shen being a center for 70 games, a top 6 center. I think that's one of the, if I were to pick out the thing they need most, and I know we talk about the defense all the time, Kessel has solved a lot of problems down there. I think what they need most is a number 2 center.
They really do. I was going to ask you guys what you thought about the Buchnevich center experience.
Well, I think it's out of necessity when they mixed up the top line and the second line and trying to find lightning in a bottle with some of this, you know, especially coming off the Rangers game and the trade deadline, and it looks like they were just dead in the water, and then they started to switch things up, and it worked. Now, will it work for a full season? I'm kind of with Randy. I don't know if I'd want to go in that direction. The other thing to consider, too, is that this team has been relatively healthy all year, unless I'm missing some big names, which I'm not. I just don't see, at least next year, at least it's going to, well, let me say this. It's going to be very tough for them to be able to maneuver this offseason and become exponentially better than what we see right now. So going back to the original point, 3-year retool, I think most fans would be okay with that. Not all of them, but time will tell. We'll see.
I just wonder, Dan, you've piqued my interest here about the idea of a buyout. And
I don't think he's ever done a buyout since he's come in St. Louis.
Only team in the league that's never utilized the buyout option. So I don't know if there's, Saad's $9 million over the next couple of years. I don't know if you do that. I don't know if there's real value there for the Blues. Leddy has 2 years left at $8 million, but I want Nick Leddy on the team. He's playing well. So I just don't know that there is, and I don't know the numbers, but I don't know if there's real value in doing a buyout. By the way, Falk, Krug, Parayko all signed through 26-27 at $6.5 million a year.
And I say Krug just because they were comfortable with moving him before. They were trying to move him before, so maybe that's a situation that you find yourself in again this offseason where you would be forced to do a buyout because it doesn't seem like Krug would want to move. based off of what happened last year. So that might be a situation he's in. That's the biggest questions is, will he buy out any contracts? And two, what happens with Buchnevich?
Buchnevich would be a key. And Shen, depending on what you want to do moving forward.
And I thought it was interesting at the deadline when Army said he wants to extend Buchnevich. Now, I don't know what that entails, what that looks like.
That could be pretty pricey.
It could. But he's a pretty good player, too. You need good players. So he's obviously Army thinks he's a guy that they can win with.
What do you guys think about how physical the back end of the Blues are? Because if you go back to 2019, that team was big. They were big. They were physical. And looking at the Golden Knights the other night, how big was that defensive pairings that they rolled out shift after shift? I'd want to see them get a little bit more grit on the back end. A little bit more, a little bit bigger size. Because in 2019, the Blues had that, and I'm not sure you can say that right now outside of Parayko.
Mm-hmm. And I think Kessel has brought some of that, too.
I do, too. Yep.
But I agree.
Bit.
Yeah, you do. I feel you did notice that as well. I mean, the physicality that the Golden Knights had, it was a huge difference. But who's available? That's the big question is, what do you do in this situation?
Yeah, and again, we go back to if there's a linchpin moment, it was not giving Petro the no move, because the other thing that you did, and they were trying to be proactive about Petro, but if you take care of the Petro situation, you don't have to trade Edmondson. Now, I know Joel Edmondson has been hurt a lot since the Blues traded him, but a lot of that size and grit went out the door when you let Petro go and traded Joel Edmondson.
It was like the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah, they were scrambling, and they're still kind of scrambling. We're talking about it today, so they're still scrambling to replace those guys. That's Brooke, that's Dan, I'm Randy. Matthew is here, and coming up, we've got the fight. Do we need a fighter today, Matthew? Yes. We do. So you can text in 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO with your name and the word fight, and perhaps Matthew will pick you to fight me next on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals finished out the spring yesterday with a 7-2 win over the Cubs, and they will start the regular season tomorrow facing off against the Los Angeles Dodgers. It's an afternoon first pitch, 3:10 first pitch from LA as they start their 4-game series in the 2024 season. The Blues are also back in action tomorrow night as they face off against the Flames down at Enterprise. 7 p.m. puck drop, 6 p.m. pregame show right here on 101 ESPN, your home of the St. Louis Blues. That is your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome to the fight. In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Carricker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke, Dan, and Rocc here, and it's time for the fight. And our fighter today is Michael. Michael, how are you doing?
I'm good. How about you guys?
We're doing great. Is this your first time facing Randy in the fight?
No, actually, I faced him. I think it was back around COVID.
Okay.
I can't remember if it was before or after, but it's been quite a while.
All right. Well, how did you do in that fight?
I lost.
Okay. So this is a chance at redemption for you, right, Michael?
Yes, I am a gauntlet champion, though.
Ooh. All right. We'll see if you can take that success into the fight today. You ready for question number 1, Michael?
Yes.
Who did the Las Vegas Golden Knights select from the Blues in their 2017 expansion draft? Was it Zach Sanford, Jake Wallman, or David Perron?
I want to say it was Perron.
Okay, is that your final answer?
Yes.
Which NL MVP winning player is the only one to win 2 different NL Comeback Player of the Year awards? Was it Albert Pujols, Buster Posey, or Ken Griffey Jr.?
Buster Posey. Final answer.
He knew what you were going to ask.
Absolutely.
Dan. Question 3. Who is the only player to win the All-Star and World Series MVP in the same season? Is it Manny Ramirez, Bob Gibson, or Derek Jeter?
Can you say that again? The question?
Of course. Who is the only player to win the All-Star and World Series MVP in the same season? Is it Manny Ramirez, Bob Gibson, or Derek Jeter?
Derek Jeter.
And question 4, which Blues goalie holds the all-time NHL record for Vezina Trophy wins with 7? Is it Martin Brodeur, Glenn Hall, or Jacques Plante?
Brodeur. Final answer.
All right, we're going to go. I'll go get Randy. You guys stay here. Hold on.
We'll hold down the fort, Dan. How are you feeling, Michael?
I'm feeling all right. I want to think that I did well.
Well, we can't give you any hints, so we can't tell you if you did well or not, but you seemed pretty confident, so that's always a good sign. But here comes Diet Dr. Pepper, Randy Carricker, and grapes, a giant bag of grapes.
Need a little sharpness here.
To get you through this hump day fight, huh?
Yeah. Hump day. How we doing?
Good. Randy, say hi to Michael.
Michael, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, Randy. I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing. We do appreciate it.
Ready for question number 1, Randy?
I am. WNBA?
Of course.
Okay, let's do it.
Who did the Las Vegas Golden Knights select from the Blues in their 2017 expansion draft?
I think that would have been... did we lose? It seems like we lost David Perron. I will go with David Perron.
Which NL MVP winning player is the only one to win 2 different NL Comeback Player of the Year awards?
National League Most Valuable Player that won 2 Comeback Player of the Year awards.
That's correct, Randall.
Okay, so I know that Chris Carpenter actually won 2, but he was never an MVP. Who would have been somebody that came back, and they haven't had Comeback Player of the Year for a really long time. Who's been hurt a lot? Maybe Eric Davis? I'll do the lifeline.
Albert Pujols.
No.
Buster Posey.
Maybe.
Ken Griffey Jr.
Griffey Jr. was hurt a lot. So he did win National League MVP, though? Is that which National League MVP? So he won National League MVP. Okay. Albert didn't, I don't think he won Comeback Player of the Year 2 times. So that would leave us Buster Posey. I will go with Buster Posey.
Question 3, Brooke.
Who is the only player to win the All-Star and World Series MVP in the same season?
All-Star and World Series MVP in the same year. Let's see. You know what? I'll go with it. I don't know if it was in the same year, but it just seems like a good play. I'll go with Derek Jeter.
Question 4. Which Blues goalie holds the all-time NHL record for Vezina Trophy wins with 7?
7 Vezina trophies.
That's right, 7.
So are we going to go with Jacques Plante or Glenn Hall? That's the question here. We're going to go with one of those two. I'll go with the guy that earned the moniker Mr. Goalie. I'm going to go with Glenn Hall.
Matthew, do your thing, please.
Well, it actually means we have to go to a tiebreaker because they both did very well on today's fight. So let's go to a tiebreaker, and here's the rules. I'm going to read out the question. We're going to give Randy a moment to write down his answer. Then, Michael, we will get your answer audibly. Randy Carrick will then show everyone the notepad with the writing on it and say it over the air, and whoever is closest to the pin is going to be the winner of today's fight. Michael, do you understand those rules?
Yep.
Randy Carricker, do you have your paper ready?
I do. It's Lindenwood paper.
All righty. Vince Coleman, a good topic considering Victor Scott's going to be on the opening day roster. Vince Coleman played the first 878 games of his career in a Cardinals uniform. 878 games? How many bases did he steal with the birds on the bat? 878 games of his career were in a Cardinals uniform, the first 878 games of his professional career for Vince Coleman. How many bases did he steal with the birds on the bat in those 878 games? Randy Carricker has a guess. All right, Michael, what is your guess, sir?
Go with 500.
All right, Michael guesses an even 500. Randy Carricker, what is your guess, sir?
I went with 557, sir.
All right, both in the 500s. Who's closer to the pin? Ring that bell.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis, with the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
Come on, man. How did you come up with Jeter?
Sometimes.
Well, I mean, that
was a good ball.
Come on.
That was.
Sometimes Randy Carricker's math apparently pretty darn good, as Vince Coleman stole 549 bases in the 878 games he played with the Cardinals. Randy Carricker guessed 557. He was just 8 off, and so he is the winner of today's fight. Michael, you did really well, though. You forced the tiebreaker with 3 correct questions today.
Yeah, I was hoping he would have got that Jeter one wrong.
Yeah, that one was tricky, but man, Jeter he's got that magic to him. Who did the Vegas Golden Knights select from the Blues in their 2017 expansion draft? It was, in fact, David Perron. The NL MVP winning player who has won 2 NL Comeback Player of the Year awards is, in fact, Buster Posey, who won the MVP in the 2012 season, where he also won Comeback Player of the Year, and then in 2021 also won his second Comeback Player of the Year
Scott
award.
Cousins, Buster Posey rule.
There you go. Who is the only player to win All-Star World Series MVP in the same season? It is, in fact, Derek Jeter, darn him. And which Blues goalie holds the all-time NHL record for Vezina trophies with 7? Not Glenn Hall. It is, in fact, Jacques Plante, who won 3 of them before the Jennings became an award. So back in the day, the Vezina used to be what the Jennings is now, which is the best goalie pairing. And so he actually,
but the Vezina now is not statistically based, correct?
No, it's voted on. So he didn't win all 7 under the new rules. If he was only going by the new rules, Dominik Hasek actually has the award for the most current Vezina candidate rules, if you will. So
how many did he win?
Tie Hasek. I think he won 5 or 6.
Okay.
It's either 5 or 6. I can't remember off the top of my head. So Michael, a 3-3 tie, and then you fell in the tiebreakers. Thank you so much for joining the fight and joining the show today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Michael. Have a great day. Happy Easter to you and your family. Coming up, Rivs talking to Jamie Rivers next on 101 ESPN. Hey, you know how much rain we have in St. Louis during the spring, and if you have any concerns at all about your gutters on your home or on your business, you need to go to gutterpros.com, G-U-T-T-E-R, gutterpros.com, St. Louis's #1 gutter company. And regardless of whether it is your home or your business, Gutter Pros knows exactly what size is the perfect size of gutter for your home and what's going to be most efficient for you. And once they're installed, and they have great installers at Gutter Pros, their own employees, water goes where we tell it to go at gutterpros.com. It's a fantastic St. Louis company based in St. Louis. Not only do they do a great job with gutters on installing and providing great products, but they do soffit and fascia as well. So if you need that sort of work done on your home, go to gutterpros.com. They've got a window up where you can get a free estimate. Just put your name and email in, and they'll come out, provide you a great free low-pressure estimate. And then if you choose Gutter Pros, they're going to do great work for you. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and 4.9 out of 5 stars on their reviews. It's Gutter Pros. Make your appointment today at gutterpros.com.
Everything St. Louis Blues as we head into the Blues Booth. Presented by Boardwalk Hardwood Floors, a proud partner of your St. Louis Blues. Find your perfect new floor at our 4 convenient locations and online at boardwalkhardwood.com.
Another night off for the St. Louis Blues before they take on the Calgary Flames tomorrow night at Enterprise Center. We'll have the action for you here on 101 ESPN at 6 o'clock with the action coming your way at 7. Pregame at 6, action at 7. And Jamie Rivers will be your analyst on Bally Sports. Of course, he is a member of the Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN and joins us as he does every Wednesday morning on the opening drive. Rivs, good morning. How you doing?
Good, guys. How you doing?
Everything's great. How you feeling these days?
Yeah, it's weird. I've been battling to keep my voice. It's like Kerry Davis and I have had the same problem of like the voice coming in and then leaving for a day or two and then coming back. And I don't know what it is. It's just weird, but we'll get through it.
You're a gamer.
Oh, yeah. We'll play through it, Randy.
You know, no question about it.
You really are, Jamie. And by the way, if you and Carrie, I don't know if you're contagious or not anymore, but if you want to go hang out with maybe some of the Golden Knights players, maybe get some of them sick, that would help out the Blues right now.
Yeah, if I thought I was contagious, I think I would try it. I would have tried it certainly the other night, too. I would have been out sharing beers with those guys, but I think that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
Hey, Jamie, convince me. You have a chance to convince me. This team is mathematically alive, and we can go through all the different numbers and what needs to happen, but you know what? This team has got 10 games to go. They're still mathematically alive, so convince me that this team can make the playoffs.
Well, the one thing this team hasn't done all year is they just haven't given up. And it hasn't maybe been as pretty as people want it to be. And, maybe there have been pockets of hockey that were inconsistent and all these things. That's fine. But they haven't given up. And talking to the players, even following the loss the other night, there's a strong belief that they can still get into the playoffs. Now, mathematically, all the things you said, Dan, the matchups, the strength of schedule, all that, whatever. It is what it is. But for me, if the players believe in that locker room, that they still have a chance to get in, that's all I care about. And I guess I'm not even worried so much about them making the playoffs. I just want the team that's in that room to believe that they can make the playoffs and to play every game like they still have a chance. That, to me, is where you create your culture. That, to me, is what helps turn this ship around faster than anything else.
Jamie, as you have watched this team through 72 games, and we know what they are now. They are what they are. And what they are is 6 points out of the final wild card spot in the in the Western Conference. Is their record and their place in the standings reflective of who they are?
Oh, I think for sure. I mean, I think it has to be. When you look at some of the ebbs and flows of the season for the Blues and the inconsistencies. I mean, how many times are we going to say that about a sporting team in a single season? So I think that for sure where they are right now is exactly where they kind of deserve to be based on the way the season's gone. Have they shown improvement? Yes. But you still can't erase some of the pockets of poor hockey or lack of consistency or maybe lack of showing up. All those things there, you can't just replace that right now. But I will say that the team that has played here in the last quarter of the season gives me hope that this team is headed in the right direction. But overall, I think this is exactly who I thought the Blues would be.
Yeah, that's what we were discussing earlier, and I think we're all on the same page with that. I wanted to talk to you about some of the Blues and their lineups that they've had here. What have you thought about Pavel Buchnevich as a center?
Yeah, I mean, he's okay there. He's so smart and such a good player that, he can play anywhere pretty much. But I still prefer him on the wing. I think that if you had a true second-line center that you were going to go with, Pavel Buchnevich finds his way back to the wing. So it's a short-term fix, I think. Craig Berube tried it as well. But I think that ultimately Pavel Buchnevich is a winger on a team that has the depth to have roll out 2 or 3 centermen.
Jamie, I'm curious about some of the players that you would list and saying, okay, it's like playoff hockey and these guys have grown throughout the year. Who are some of those players that have stood out for you?
Oh, my God. Well, I think that obvious but not so obvious, I guess. Obvious first. Jordan Binnington. I mean, I don't even know how much more I can say about this guy. I just think the world of him as a goaltender. And getting to know him a lot more throughout the season, I think he's a really interesting dude. I think he's a damn good leader on that hockey team. I think Colt Parayko is a guy that would be obvious. I think Robert Thomas is a guy that'd be obvious, but not so obvious, because I don't know if we all saw Robert Thomas getting to where he is right now right away. I think, we thought, okay, a couple of years down the road, he's still developing. Not anymore, man. He is a true number one center. He's a 200-foot player. He can play him in any situation. He is your best overall player. So those guys for sure. And then guys like Jake Neighbors. I look at Jake Neighbors. Who the hell thought he'd be, up at the top of the team in goals scored? I mean, I thought that his ceiling for me was like, maybe a 20-goal scorer, good third-line winger. I mean, he's already eclipsed all of that. So those four guys for sure, I think, have surprised me a little bit as well. And then, you go to the back end, a guy like Matthew Kessel. Nobody even had him on their bingo card to be a part of this team this year. And I don't know if anybody had him to be a part of this team even in the near future, yet here he is playing pretty big minutes in pretty big situations. So I'd say that those guys have really surprised.
Hey, Riz, as the Blues play the Flames tomorrow night, the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers are going to be taking on Omaha in the first round of the NCAA hockey tournament. And I'll be flipping back and forth between that game and the Blues game because I want to see Jimmy Snuggerud play. But you just brought up a couple of guys. To reach this elite status, it's taken Robert Thomas 5 years. It took Jake Neighbors. This is essentially his third year. Do you think it's smart for the Blues if and when Jimmy Snuggerud is available to get him to the NHL ASAP so that they can expedite his assimilation into the NHL?
Yeah, Randy, it's always tricky. If you'd asked me this when I was 18, I would have said, no, I want to go straight to the NHL because what the hell? Who the hell wants to play in the minors? What am I going to learn there from those guys? They're not good enough to play in the NHL. Well, let me tell you, there's a lot to learn. And I think that Jimmy Snuggerud is going to be a hell of a player. He already is, but I think at the NHL level, he's going to be a real good contributor. But you got to see if he's ready. You got to get him in camp. You got to get him playing with men. You got to get him playing against other NHLers to see just where he's at from a development standpoint. And if he checks all the boxes and you're looking at it going, you know what, like he can still contribute on this team and he's not going to hurt his development, then fine, you go for it. But otherwise, get him down the American League. Let him light the lamp down there. And I've always said this, that, the guys who are in the American League, they'll let you know when it's time to be in the NHL because they'll be so dominant at that level that there's nothing left for them to gain. And that's ultimately what you want as a team is when you have a young star like that they continue to be a star at that level, and then they force your hand to call them up because there's really nothing left to learn playing against American Hockey League guys.
Great stuff as always. Jamie Rivers will be tuned into the Fast Lane this afternoon and the Blues and Flames tomorrow night. Thank you so much for the time.
All right, guys. Thank you.
See you, brother. That is the great Jamie Rivers joining us here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, we've got our Rush Hour Reset with Brooke, Dan, and Randy. Stick around. It's coming your way on the opening drive. I want you to know about Gloria Lou, because if you're even considering selling your home, the way that you're going to get the most money for said home and sell the fastest if you want to is by using Gloria Lou as your agent. She's been in St. Louis as a premier real estate agent for more than 20 years, and she has Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and the name says it all right there. Your Home Sold Guaranteed. And Gloria's mastered the home selling promise. She guarantees upfront and in writing to sell your home at your agreed to price and time frame, or she'll buy it herself, and that's guaranteed. Gloria has solutions for every single type of home seller. If you want a fast sale with no hassles, well, Gloria has multiple cash offer programs, and that's a great option to consider. There are no showings and no costly repairs, and you can pick the closing date. You always get the highest cash offer from her bid box to choose from in minutes. But you also have the opportunity, if you want, to stay in your house for up to 12 months with Gloria Lou. 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Recapping the biggest sports stories of the day on the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
9:02 in St. Louis. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke Grimsley, Dan McLaughlin, Randy Carricker. It is great to have you with us on this opening day eve in St. Louis. The Cardinals will open up their 2024 championship season tomorrow at Dodger Stadium in L.A. And the Cardinals will pitch Miles Mikolas. He'll be opposed by newcomer Tyler Glasnow of the Dodgers. It's a 3 o'clock start tomorrow, and the Cardinals will have a new look in 2024, at least to start the season. Victor Scott II will be the Cardinals center fielder tomorrow. Mason Wynn will get his first opening day start at shortstop. Presumably, you'll have Nolan Gorman at second and Brendan Donovan in left. So it's going to be a different look for the Redbirds, and Miles Mikolas gets his third opening day start.
I've decided I'm excited just for the fact of I'm excited to see these young players. Of course, you hate to see all the injuries that you're experiencing right now with the outfield, but I'm excited about Victor Scott II and what he will be able to do for the Cardinals. Of course, he's going to go through some stretches where, as you mentioned, Dan, the league starts to figure him out a little bit, but something just feels different about this situation with Victor Scott II. I'm excited to see what he looks like.
Can they get through the injuries and this gauntlet of a start of the season in the way that the schedule is played out with the Dodgers early on, the Padres, and it's a tough go, 7-game trip, and then no off day before opening day. And so they'll play 8 games in a row. And you'll have a little indication, I would think, of what the Cardinals will look like because of what you're saying, Brooke, the injuries that have hit this club, and then some of the guys that you didn't expect to be in the opening day lineup will be. And that includes one Victor Scott. Scott, 12 games in the minor leagues, 12 games at spring training. He had 4 stolen bases. You love the on-base percentage of .436. 4 walks. Can he be patient, not over anxious at this level? You know he's going to be excited. You know he's going to give you good defense. But I think the thing that's interesting is where does he fit in the lineup? Would he bat first in your lineup, or do they move him down to take pressure off, and would he bat 8th or 9th? And that's one of the questions for Ollie going into tomorrow.
And the Cardinals will start the season with multiple players on the 10-day injured list: Lars Nootbaar, Dylan Carlson, and Tommy Edman. Those on the 15-day injured list include Sonny Gray, Keenan Middleton, and Drew Rom. And by the way, with Gray specifically, he is backdated to 2 days ago, to the 25th. So, Dan, you were right. You can't use injuries in spring training. You have to use once spring training, your spring training season is over, as the start date for your injured list.
So that'll pencil him in at some point for the homestand, barring anything that would set him back. At some point, he will make that start at home. And then Lance Lynn will get the home opener. And, we go back to what we were talking about 4 months ago. The question for me going into this season is the starting rotation. Can it hold up? It's advanced age. And are they available to give you innings? Because this starting staff is going to have to give you innings. I love the bullpen. I think the offense is going to score some runs, even though they were 19th in runs last year, a byproduct of a lot of injuries. And if they stay healthy, see if they can't stay in the race. Mentioned it earlier, Fangraphs as the Cardinals winning the division by 1 game. All 5 teams separated by just 6. Baseball Prospectus has the Cardinals at 84 wins, the Cubs at 81. Cardinals will not see the Cubs until May 24th at Wrigley. That'll be their first meeting between those 2 teams. And what will those teams look like at that point when health it becomes a factor in a positive way, you would think, for the St. Louis Cardinals?
Well, hopefully you'll have everybody back, including Sonny Gray, by that time. Knock on wood, because you don't want anything else to happen at this point. My gosh, it feels like somebody put a curse on the Cardinals at this point with the amount of injuries that you have going the season, especially in the outfield. And we mentioned with Sonny Gray and then Keenan Middleton as well. So hopefully everybody will be healthy by that point. But I agree with you, Dan. I still have some question marks about this starting rotation. Not only can the veterans hold up, but also what will Steven Matz look like? I think he's in that veteran category, but still the youngest guy in your starting rotation outside of Zach Thompson. Can Zach Thompson rise to the occasion? You need one of these young pitchers to eventually develop into a starter for the Cardinals.
Hockey last night, the Golden Knights took a quick lead over the Nashville Predators. They were up by a score of 3-0 after a period, but back comes Nashville 4-1 after 2, and then the Predators stormed back to tie it, send it into overtime, and the Predators win it by a score of 5-4. So the Blues now 6 back in the wild card playoff race. Nashville has gone 18 in a row without a loss. Pretty incredible. And Ryan O'Reilly with another big night. He scored his 25th goal, had a goal and 2 assists for the Predators. What a bargain he's been for Nashville this year.
And good for him. I mean, you go back to the Blues season, we point this out a lot, but that Saturday game at home where the Blues were in control, and then who took control in the third period? Ryan O'Reilly. And good for him. He's had a good season this year for Nashville.
He really has. You missed that, especially when we were talking about earlier about needing another center. Well,
yeah,
it would be nice to have Ryan O'Reilly right now.
It would. And I think a lot of people thought that he was washed up. But, man, he's been amazing.
No.
After the injuries last year in Toronto, and he did not have a good year for the Blues last year, and there were a lot of things that were happening with the Blues in 22-23. But he has found a perfect spot. And he makes a spot better, too. Wherever he goes, he makes the spot better.
So what do you think? Blues have 10 games, 6 at home. Can they make the playoffs?
No.
Okay, mathematically still alive, but awfully tough. I'm with you, Randy. I don't see it happening.
No, I don't see it happening whatsoever. That's why I was trying to ask Jamie if he could go somewhere near the Golden Knights players and make them sick, because that's the only possibility I see at this point is them just absolutely tanking.
And if the Golden Knights, who, by the way, they're going to get Petro back after this road trip, and then towards the end of the season, they're going to get Tomas Hertl into their lineup. But the way I'm looking at it, I always play my old, if they play 500 game. And right now, Vegas has played 72 games, and they have 86 points. If they play 500 and get 10 more points, they'll finish with 96. The Blues have 80. To get to 96 points, the Blues would have to come up with 16 more, so they would have to go 8-2.
Yep.
If Vegas only plays 500.
Yeah, I was thinking probably 2 weeks ago that you have to get to 95, 96. That's what got the final team into the playoffs last year. It looks like that'll be what happens this year, and so you cannot afford to lose. I think that's the bottom line. If I'm a Blues fan, though, I'm holding out hope because Jordan Bennington can steal you games. And that's one of the things that he's been so good this year. Can he steal you a game or two? And if he does, then you never know what happens. You never know.
You never know.
Couple of college basketball notes. Kentucky has announced that John Calipari will return for his 16th season as their head coach. Probably pretty cost prohibitive to let him get away, right?
I would say so. $33 million buyout.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. It was $33 million.
Yep.
I think that's the right decision. I know that there was a lot of fans who possibly were wanting him to be gone, but that's not the right decision for Kentucky to make.
Can you imagine getting rid of a guy that has produced that many NBA players, had that kind of success, won a national championship, and because you lose to Oakland, and you've had some first-round rough goes here recently. I mean, it was missing a tournament, 2 first rounds out, and then I think a second round was mixed in there as well, and saying, we may need to get rid of this guy. That should tell you the expectations that are with the Kentucky Wildcats. Most universities would say, give me that guy and give me him right now.
Yeah,
period.
Right. We'd take that here.
Absolutely.
So,
and speaking of here, Josh Schertz and Indiana State, I think it was their 30th win last night. So
beat Cincinnati.
They continue to win, and we're on the clock, I guess, watching right now what SLU may do. And all indications point to that he may get it, but there's a lot of teams and universities that are saying, hold on, and it's kind of floating out there. Now, it could be floated out by him privately, could be floated out by his representation to up the price. That stuff happens all the time, but it looks like Josh Schertz would be the coach at SLU, but we just don't know quite yet.
We had somebody text in earlier, and I want to ask you this question, Dan. Why would he choose SLU? And this is, of course, I'm not saying anything against the Billikens, but when he has these options available, why would he choose SLU over those other options?
I think he's got to get guarantees from the AD and from the president that they're going to go out and spend money on NIL. And if he feels that they're going to do that, then why wouldn't you do it? I think he probably looks at the facility as being a good facility, and it certainly is an upgrade over Indiana State. I mean, you know, maybe this is the only university at this level that's coming at him. You just don't know that. But his name is being floated out there at other places. But to me, if I've got, I don't know if you guys agree with this, if I've got the commitment from the university that says we are willing to give you money to go out and get players, NIL, and assure that, then I would say that this would be a good spot for any coach.
I've read at a couple of spots that people in the industry look at St. Louis University as one of the really good potential spots because of the basketball that's played here on the high school level, as you mentioned, Dan, because of the facility, because of the backing of Bob and Steve O'Loughlin and Richard Chaffetz. They think that not that it's a sleeping giant, but the program has underperformed in the last several years under Travis Ford. Those are people in the industry talking to the likes of our buddy from Mizzou, the Yahoo writer at Sports Illustrated. Pat Forty, yeah. And there are several other people in the industry apparently have told people that cover college basketball more than I do that they think this is actually a pretty good job.
You got a good building.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good college building. You have good facilities. You have backing of the boosters, and you need the fan support. If they're good, fans come out.
Yep.
And if they have the assurances of NIL, then I'd say that this is a good spot.
And I think the other thing, and Matthew, you had the stat, Schertz is making about $300,000, right, over at Indiana State, something like that.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
and here you're making a couple of million
that
at
helps
least.
A lot.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons that you choose it too.
I'm guessing worst case scenario he gets 5x'd if he gets the SLU job.
Yeah,
and then again it's Terre Haute to St. Louis. It's the facilities. The O'Loughlin Center is incredible, state of the art. I mean, it's just. I don't know how it is a better conference. I know people in St. Louis apparently don't like hearing that the A10 is a better conference than the MVC, but I think it is. And so I just think that's
why Loyola moved, right?
it stands to reason.
Yeah.
What's it say about Conzo Martin, the kind of guy he is, to go back second time to Missouri State? I mean, he is a good dude. I pull for him. Didn't work out at Mizzou. He had success on the West Coast, and we were talking about this earlier, but he is so connected in the world of basketball. I think he can turn around Missouri State pretty quickly.
They can't get any worse than that program has been in the last few years. And Conzo, Conzo's a good guy. What I'm interested to see, one of the things that people close to Desiree Reed-Francois said was that Conzo coaches hard, and kids today don't want to be coached hard. As great a human being as he is, as good as it gets, it's really difficult for him to adjust to what players are now. So I'll be interested to see if he's able to make that adjustment.
The other part is he ran clean programs, and now it's out there. You can use the NIL, and it's well within the rules. So that'll be interesting, too, to see how he manipulates that to keep kids or go out and get kids. It's interesting. I mean, the Missouri Valley loses a lot of players, but they're bringing a lot of players in, too. You know, they're a conference that also gets their fair share. So I think he can turn that thing around and probably do it pretty quickly.
I agree. I am excited for Martin. I hope that this all works out for him because, as you guys mentioned, just on the media side of things, he was always so kind and willing to answer any question that you had.
Yeah. Is the top player in the country somebody who has a coach for a father? That's a key for Conzo in the recruiting wars.
Coach is a father for the top. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, Michael. Does Michael Porter Sr. have any other kids?
I don't think he does.
Okay.
I don't think he does.
No, I think
he has a daughter.
I think there's one more son.
Oh, is there really?
I think Javon, I believe, who's about to hit college. Let me double.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Wow, that's a lot of kids.
They have like 9 kids. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Good.
Get some good basketball players out of it. They got 2 that are pretty good.
Yeah, 9. Huh? I'd bet the under.
Oh, Randy, nope, too soon. Too
okay.
soon.
Javon Porter just finished his second year at Pepperdine, where he averaged 16, 6, and 2 with a block and almost a block and a whole steal as well. So Javon Porter, I believe, is going. I think he's going Portland.
He should be. Yeah, Lorenzo Romar got whacked there, so yeah.
Yeah.
He finally got whacked there?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, Lorenzo Romar was coaching a Porter? How about that?
Yeah.
How about that? See how that works out?
Interesting. There is your Rush Hour Reset here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, we're going to pick our MVPs, Cy Youngs, and Rookies of the Year, but we can't pick the favorite. That's the catch next on 101 ESPN. Hey, there is a birthday coming up, and it's for Eat Well Market's first birthday, Saturday, April 13th from 11 to 3. Of course, Schnucks brings you Eat Well Market, and the food is delicious there. It's so fresh, it's so good, and there's going to be sampling and live music and family-friendly activities and appearances by Fred Bird and Cardinals alumni Jack Clark. So you want to be ready for April 13th. Put it on your calendar now. to celebrate the first anniversary of the Eat Well Market, a free event. 4 lucky winners are going to get their basket total in Schnucks Rewards points. Visit Eat Well for all of your local, natural, and organic food at Boone's Crossing in Chesterfield. It's Eat Well Market's first birthday, Saturday, April 13th from 11 to 3. And don't forget, as you're planning your Easter celebration, you want to head to Schnucks. All of the things that you need to color Easter eggs are going to be there. Great deals on eggs. They also have all of the food. Head on over to their deli and get a great ham. You will get everything you need, and don't forget to download the Schnucks Rewards app when you get started at Schnucks. The baseball season starts tomorrow, and that means it's time for us to pick our end-of-season award winners because we're starting tomorrow.
Putting the cart before the horse, huh?
Well, since all the betting sites are doing it, why don't we? And here's our rule here in the opening drive. You get to pick your MVP and your Cy Young Award winners and your Rookies of the Year, but you can't pick the betting favorite. For example, in the National League, Ronald Acuna is the betting favorite to win the MVP award at plus 500, according to FanDuel. So you can't pick Ronald Acuna. So who are you going to pick, Brooke?
Are you sure I can't do that?
No, you can't do it.
Fine. I don't like these rules, Randy. Too many rules. I'm going to go with... You said we're starting out with what again?
National League MVP.
Okay, National League MVP. I was between, one, I believe it's going to be a Dodger. Two, I'm going to go with Shohei Ohtani.
Okay.
One way to put a big scandal behind you is to play really, really well. Now, will it completely go away? No, of course not, because there's an ongoing investigation. But if you're hitting really well, kind of helps quiet the noise a little bit. And since he won't be pitching, I believe that he'll really take his talents to new heights and a new level as he just focuses on hitting. So that is my NL MVP. Shohei Ohtani, show me the money, Ohtani.
He's got plenty of it.
And he is at plus 950. Interestingly, he's behind Betts and Freeman. Betts is at plus 650, Freeman at plus 900, and then Ohtani is fourth for National League MVP.
I wouldn't bet against him.
I guess maybe the reason is he's only going to be a DH. Now, he did win in 2021. He won the MVP primarily as a DH, and David Ortiz had 5 top 5 finishes as a DH. It's always the question, are you the best player on the best team or the best player overall when you talk about the MVP? And so I went with, for the American League, my MVP.
I went National League. We're
National League. I'm sorry. I went with I went with my National League MVP. Oh man, I already ran. You know what? Go to the next one, Randy.
I'll do mine. I'll give you my National
Oh
League
no,
guy.
I did. I wrote it down. Fernando Tatis Jr.
It's a good one.
Oh,
Thinking
I
outside
like
the
that
box.
one. I like that one.
That's a really good one. And I thought about him. I'm going to go with a bounce back MVP year from Bryce Harper, playing his first full year at first base for the Phillies.
That's where I was torn, Randy.
Yeah.
Harper and Tatis Jr.
I think if Harper plays the full season last year, he probably wins the National League MVP.
Do you think with the past stuff with Tatis Jr. and performance-enhancing drugs that is going to curtail what people do with him?
It was just ringworm, Dan.
Yeah,
it was just
right.
ringworm.
I think he's so good.
He is.
It's really going to be hard because is there a more scrutinized player by Major League Baseball now for performance enhancers than Fernando Tatis Jr.? Right. So I would think so. And by the way, we can't pick Acuna, but obviously Acuna had a transcendent year last year. It's just hard for me to believe that he's going to be able to pull that off again.
Yeah.
All right, American League MVP.
Rules. I don't like these rules. I found this one a little less interesting, guys, and maybe this is just me, but
Juan
Soto
Soto's
is
a
the
favorite.
favorite,
Yep.
of course, as you mentioned there. Aaron Judge is right behind him. I'm going to go with probably the most important Oriole this year, Adley Rutschman.
Okay.
Good one. Really good one. Good call.
I love Soto. I love, obviously, Judge, but I'm going to go with Gunnar Henderson. So I'm thinking outside the box here. My American League MVP will be Gunnar Henderson. Are we going to review these in October?
We are.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yep.
Can I go with somebody else
Can we
then?
delete these? Delete the tape.
Yep. I also went outside the box. I went with Kyle Tucker of the Astros. I think he's ready to, and I know that they have Yordan Alvarez, but I think Tucker is ready to take off and arrive at superstar status.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's do the Cy Young Awards next. And first of all, as we look at the National League Cy Young Award favorite, and again, you can't pick the favorite, it's Spencer Strider of the Astros.
I honestly found
Or of
this one.
the Braves, I'm sorry.
I honestly found the NL Cy Young race the most interesting out of all of these categories because you have so much talent that has migrated over from the American League, including Glasnow and, of course, Dylan Cease. I'm going to go with Zach Gallen.
I like that.
Call.
I was torn between Zach Wheeler and Logan Webb. And the reason I go with Logan Webb is what they've done with Matt Chapman at third. He gets ground ball after ground ball. And I like what he can do. So I like the Giants. I think they had a great offseason. So I'm going with Logan Webb.
And I'm rolling the dice here at plus 1,400. I think this is a value pick, even though he's never pitched a lot. I'm going to go with Tyler Glasnow, just based on what I saw in spring training.
That's enough to see.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah, he shoves.
Yeah, and he's a pretty good team that he's part of, too.
Yeah.
Makes some sense.
Yeah. How about American League Cy Young? And the American League Cy Young favorite, who we can't choose, is Corbin Burns of the Orioles.
I really want it to be Corbin Burns because it just makes a lot of sense. So since I can't go with Corbin Burns because of all your rules, Randy, I'm going to go with Luis Castillo. He finished 5th in the AL Cy Young voting last fall. Maybe he can jump forward a little bit more this year.
I have him, too.
I'm going Framber Valdez was my American League Cy Young Award winner, although I do think, as you mentioned, the favorite Corbin Burns is going to have a monster season.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, the Astros, we hear about all the other names. I think the best guy there is Valdez.
That's why I took him. I do, too. And I thought Jordan Montgomery might wind up there. But even if he did, I don't think he's the best guy in that rotation. I really don't.
Okay, now the American League Rookie of the Year, and this is our last category, was really interesting because for whatever reason, maybe it was because he wasn't on the team, but Jackson Holliday isn't listed as a favorite. Their favorite is Evan Carter at plus 320, a huge favorite. But I'm going with Jackson Holliday.
You're going with Jackson Holliday. I want to go with Jackson Holliday, too, but at the same time, there is a name that a lot of people are talking about with the Texas Rangers outside of Carter, and that would be Wyatt Langford. Now, I know that he has actually risen to the top as a betting favorite with some of the other ones, but the one that you specifically sent me, Randy, he was not, so this is why I'm going with him. He will be the DH, but he will also be in the outfield for the Rangers. He was drafted with the number 4 overall pick in the first round just last year, and he has made the opening day roster. He has been a monster during spring training for the Rangers, hitting .388 right now.
But he likes his rookies, too.
Oh,
He'll play him.
Yep.
He will.
I'm
So
gonna go,
that's what I'm going with.
Evan Carter is my Rookie of the Year. He is somebody that's on the outside looking in, but
He's the favorite, Dan.
Oh, Evan Carter was?
Yeah.
I thought Jackson Holliday Oh, no. I listened. I'm going Jackson Holiday then.
Okay, we'll both go with
To be
Holly.
fair, Dan, you can look at them. I looked at different sites, and there's different leaders, it seems like,
this is
all over
the
the
official
place.
FanDuel.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. That's my bad. And then finally, National League Rookie of the Year.
My National League Rookie of the Year is going to be Jackson Chourio from the Brewers. That's been a big story that we talked about. The number 2 prospect in baseball. He's already made the Brewers opening day roster, and he will likely take over in right field. He's also been doing really well in spring training, hitting .323 with 3 doubles and a triple in 62 at-bats.
And Yamamoto is the favorite here, so we can't take him.
I'm going Jackson Merrill. So Jackson Merrill has a chance to have a monster season, and it is kind of ridiculous that Yamamoto is considered Rookie of the Year with the kind of pedigree that he has.
Feel right.
It doesn't feel right, but it happens all the time. These guys come from overseas, and they haven't played a year in Major League Baseball, so they get rookie status.
And finally, I'm going to be a homer here, Homer. I'm going with Mason Wynn as my National League Rookie of the Year.
What's he going to hit, Randy?
Probably 260-ish.
I'll take that.
Yeah, 260, 795 OPS, 15 homers, 28 steals.
Wow. Be a monster year. That'd be a Rookie of the Year.
That would be a big deal.
That's why I'm picking him.
I like it.
Nobody pick Victor Scott. What are we doing here?
That's a good question. You had the chance.
We did.
You took Jackson Chourio.
How do you win rookie? How do you win Rookie of the Year when your everyday starting attempts ended on June 1st?
Oh,
that's kind of what I'm thinking too.
I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. He's not going to be an everyday player for the Cardinals after everyone's healthy until another injury inevitably happens, and then he'll get another 2 weeks, and then we'll see you again in a month.
Yeah. Coming up, there's more than meets the eye with Jordan Montgomery signing with the Arizona Diamondbacks. It's not just where he signed, but the division that he signed in. Is next on 101 ESPN.
Here's a new way to play your daily fantasy. It's Underdog Fantasy's Pick'em product that's live in Missouri, Pick'em Champions. You can pick 2 to 5 players from at least 2 different teams. Your winning amount's going to change by how many picks you have. Select higher or lower on the player stats. You pick your entry fee, and then you're entered in alongside a game with other underdogs. As long as you hit your entries, you're walking away with your winnings. My favorite thing about Underdog is all the different ways to play. If I'm a little late with my entry, the game's always started. Don't worry. They have live entries always to play, and that's my favorite thing, especially coming up on baseball season. We get started tomorrow. Underdog Fantasy has you covered for all your Cardinals games. And again, maybe you put in an entry before the game, and by the 7th inning, things have changed a little bit. You want to put in a new one. Underdog Fantasy is there for you with live entries throughout the entire baseball season starting tomorrow. Underdog Fantasy, super easy to play and even easier to get started. You just go to your easy-to-use mobile app or to UnderdogFantasy.com, sign up with the promo code ROCC, and Underdog will match your first deposit up to $100. Plus, they'll give you a mystery special pick to use on your first Pick'em entry. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code ROCC to get your first deposit of $10 or more, up to $100 matched, plus your special pick. Must be 18 plus and present to stay where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Consider your play. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org. This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Major League Baseball season is finally here. The Cardinals finished up spring training yesterday with a 7-2 win over the Cubs, and tomorrow, first pitch is 3:10 against the Dodgers as they start the 2024 season with a 4-game series against the Doyers. Also back in action, the Blues tomorrow evening, 7 p.m. puck drop, facing off against the Calgary Flames. The Blues, 7 p.m. down at Enterprise, 6 p.m. here on your home for the St. Louis Blues, 101 ESPN. And if you want to hear more Blues talk, you can go to the Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers podcast later today as Randy, Danny, and Brooke talked it over with Jamie Rivers. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Danny Mac brought this up earlier, and it really is remarkable to look at the signing of Jordan Montgomery by Arizona and what that completes for the National League West this offseason. The Dodgers traded for Tyler Glasnow, signed Yoshi Yamamoto, plus they signed James Paxton because they have all those injuries. And Paxton had a good year last year for Boston. So those 3 imports come in for the Dodgers. The Giants get Jordan Hicks, who had a stellar spring for San Francisco. They get Blake Snell. They add Robbie Ray in a trade, and they add those guys to Logan Webb. So 3 new starting pitchers for the Giants, who all have finished in the top 2 Snell and Ray have finished in the top 2 in Cy Young voting, along with Logan Webb. And then Jordan Hicks, I don't know if you guys saw it. I know you two. We talked about 10 Ks in 5 innings in his last spring training start. The Padres get Dylan Cease from the White Sox, who was second in the American League Cy Young voting 2 years ago. Of course, the Padres did lose Michael Wacha and Nick Martinez and Seth Lugo and Blake Snell and Rich Hill. And then the Diamondbacks, in addition to signing Eduardo Rodriguez during free agency, they signed Jordan Montgomery. Man, there's going to be some starting pitching in the National League West this year.
And you forgot about the Rockies for whatever reason. I don't know why you mentioned them.
They lost Michael Wacha. Did he go to the KBO or Japan?
He's in with the Royals, I believe.
Oh, not Michael Wacha. I'm sorry, Austin Gomber.
Oh, he's in Japan.
Japan, okay.
He is in Japan. Hey, that trade looks great, by the way. We knew it was going to look great either way. But yeah, it's crazy you would miss the Rockies in that situation. But I want to go back to the Diamondbacks. With this deal with Jordan Montgomery, one, huge steal for the Diamondbacks. But don't you think that it came because of that recent injury with Rodriguez and the uncertainty surrounding it?
Right. When they had an injury, they decided, you know what, we aren't sure. So let's go out and reinforce our starting rotation just in case, because we don't know. Our guy has had a year where he spent 3 times on the IL, and it could happen again. So we're going to just go get a reinforcement.
I think it's reactionary, too, because of all the names that you just mentioned. And some of those guys are beyond just this year. Montgomery, will have to wait and see. But you also, coming back next year, presumably, is Shohei Ohtani. So you've got him as part of this arms race as well. It's interesting. I mean, if you're looking for pitching in the National League, it is with the West. Zach Gallen, Jordan Montgomery, Merrill Kelly, Brandon Pfaadt. You got Ryan Nelson. I mean, that's a pretty good rotation for Arizona.
And get Rodriguez back.
Yeah, and you got every 5th day, you're going to have somebody they're going to roll out there that's going to give you a chance to win.
And look at the Giants. Once the Giants are healthy, with Webb, who you love, and we all do. Robbie Ray has pitched really well when he's been healthy, coming off of Tommy John. But the Giants, in addition to Hicks and Snell, they're going to get Alex Cobb back, and he'll join their rotation. The Dodgers, think about the Dodgers. You mentioned Ohtani not being there. Tony Gonsolin isn't there. Walker Buehler isn't there. Clayton Kershaw isn't there. Blake Trinan isn't
better.
there. Yeah, and all of these guys. It might be next year for Gonsolin. All those other guys are coming back this year to help the Dodgers.
Yeah, ouch.
That's what happens when you have just an endless checkbook that the Dodgers have. But going back to Jordan Montgomery, as you mentioned, he receives that 1-year, $25 million contract, which is the same AAV, by the way, as Sonny Gray. Just feel like I should mention that. With a vesting option for $25 million in 2025. With that contract, you see that. What is your first reaction when it comes to this offseason for Scott Boras? Did he lose his Midas touch? Or with all these 1-year, really short-term contracts that we're seeing, is it more about the uncertainty of the TV deals?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think he overplayed his hand and expected that these guys would sign long-term. One was for close to 200. The other one was close to 170. I think he overplayed his hand. I mean, you look at how it went. These guys got 1-year deals. Now, again, they have opt-outs, so another bite at the apple with TV uncertainty right now. Maybe it gets better going into next season. But, man, I mean, from where he was and what he expected to what he got, that's a significant drop off. And then trying to convince your guy, hey, don't worry about it. You got an opt out. You'll be back in there next year. But still, things are changing. Times are changing in baseball with the TV contracts, and the willingness of teams to go out and sign pitchers long term or even players is really not there.
Not that there would ever be such a thing as collusion among major league owners.
No.
But do you think maybe at an owners meeting at some point, somebody's sitting at the table, among the 30 guys, said, you know what? I'm not going to give Boras what he wants anymore. I'm not even going to talk to the guy. I'm going to let my general manager, I'm going to tell my general manager, okay, this is where the line is drawn. I'm not going to talk to him. I'm just going to let my GM do his job. And another guy says, you know what? That's a good idea. And another owner says, yeah, you know what? He's stuck it to us for all these years. I'm not going to work with Scott Boras either. You look at the 4 contracts, and they aren't anywhere near what not only I'm assuming he expected, but The Athletic and BaseballTradeRumors.com have traditionally done a really good job and had very accurate projections for what free agents are going to make. And several of the people did, they were pretty close with Sonny Gray. I think they were picking 3-90, he got 3-75. But the Boras clients aren't anywhere close to what were projected. And I wonder if there is maybe a less than gentlemanly agreement among owners to say, you know what? Hey, to hell with this guy. Let's show him a thing or two. Could happen.
One, I can't believe that you would accuse them of such a thing. There's no way that owners would do that.
I could never see that. Gentlemen,
but here's the thing: is that I don't even know if you would even need to have a conversation. It's something they're probably all experiencing on their own at this point. And we were talking about the projections that were out there prior to this. I think the players were, of course, expecting more. And with those projections, we still knew at the end of the day what was going on with the TV deals. We knew that this uncertainty is happening. So I I wouldn't be surprised if there is some of these owners saying, look, I think that Scott Boras is maybe turning things into a direction we don't want to go. I mentioned Churio in the last segment as one of my favorites for Rookie of the Year, and he is somebody that I look at with that contract where they're able to lock him in so early as a way that the owners are even trying to get around guys like Scott Boras and some of these giant contracts that you're seeing, because there's no way at this point that you can step backwards, but maybe this is the way that the owners are trying to take back the reins in that regard.
Seems to be a trend a little bit.
Yeah. Off the top of your head, with Tyler O'Neill gone, do the Cardinals have a Boris Client on their team? I don't think they do.
Going around no, I don't think they do. I don't think so.
Yeah, he's got all the best players. I mean, if he doesn't have Goldie and Arenado, he's probably not going to have a Cardinal. But and Walt always worked very well with Scott Boras, but I don't think the Cardinals have a great relationship with him right now.
I would say it's not collusion, but would the owners sit around in an owners meeting and go, "Can you believe this guy?" Absolutely. I think that they do that, because the reason I don't say collusion is just because it takes one of the owners to say, I'm looking for that one pitcher. I'm looking for that one player. Okay, I'll go ahead and get this guy and have him come in the fold. Just takes one.
Right.
But do I think that they talk about it? 100%.
And they learned their lesson in the 80s when they did collude.
Oh, yeah.
And even when Jack Clark signed with the Yankees, it became pretty clear. So, but you can collude against, I don't know if you can collude against one guy. But it seems like it's kind of happening. Hey, 101 yes, Brooke.
I was just going to ask one last question because I know we got to get out of this segment. But from here on out, what can Scott Boras do to get back into, I guess, good standing? Not that he's in bad standing, because he still has a lot of the best players, but I'm sure some of those players were frustrated. What can he do to take back the lead in this?
I think he needs to be realistic, and he is of the belief. Yeah, right. He's of the belief, when you listen to his press conferences every year at the owners' meetings, every year he has a seeming belief that there is an endless supply of money that these people, not that they have, because they do have it, but that they're willing to spend. And he's got to be realistic about the fact that many teams now are dealing with budgets, and they aren't going to blow out the budget for him anymore. And that's where he needs to be realistic.
I think you have to be realistic of where the game is with the TV deals. Yep. That some of these teams are looking after this year to do something differently. And what does that mean in terms of what you bring in? I think that's a realistic view of what's happening. And the open checkbook stuff isn't quite there yet, although it'll probably get back there once they settle this thing. But yeah, I'm with you, Randy. Sometimes it doesn't seem realistic. I do get a kick out of his press conferences, by the way.
Awesome. Yeah.
Like if he had Sonny Gray, he'd be like, it's a sunny day coming for Sonny Gray. You know how he's always got a theme with his guys, which I actually kind of enjoy.
Yeah, it's fun. And those press conferences, man, they're well attended.
Yes.
They are maybe that's something else the owners get jealous of, is the amount of press he gets.
Yeah, that might be. Hey, 101 ESPN is going to be broadcasting live from the Budweiser Brewhouse at Ballpark Village next Thursday for opening day, 1 week from tomorrow. We'll be set up just steps away from Busch Stadium with the opening drive, BK and Ferrario, and the Fast Lane all coming your way live next Thursday, April 4th from Ballpark Village. Our opening day broadcast is brought to you by Holiday World and Splash and Safari, and by Budweiser. Coming up, Rock and Roll. It's Matthew's last Rock and Roll of the week here on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and this year we decided it was time to make a major upgrade to our home, and that is by updating our bathroom. We're doing the renovations right now, and it's been a big process, but you know what was super easy? It was working with E&B Granite. They made it super easy to figure out how to come up with a big vision to really transform our bathroom. E&B Granite's team visited our house for a free consultation, and they came up with that vision of how to really fix our bathroom and get the most out of the space that we have. My favorite part of working with them was stopping by their amazing showroom to explore their large selection of in-stock custom countertops, all the different cabinet options they had. My favorite part, of course, was picking out the colors for our new bathroom. Jen was the one who was working with us, and she has been fantastic. She came up with a lot of ideas that fit within our budget. And that's what they do there at E&B Granite. They've been turning visions into realities for over 20 years. So schedule your free consultation by calling 314-645-9300 or go online to EMBGranite.com or stop by their showroom today and say that Brooke sent you.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
Before we get to rock, the Flash apparently official from Nashville, Kristen Cavallari, former wife of Jay Cutler, who, by the way, is from Santa Claus, Indiana. So Kristen Cavallari dating a 24-year-old TikToker, you tell me.
Yes. So how we got to this point, there's never any rhyme or reason. Just to explain, because I wanted to know, you brought up Holiday World, right? And I was like, where in the world is that? So I Googled it. It's in Santa Claus, Indiana. And you were like, oh, you know who's from Santa Claus, Indiana? I was like, who? And you said Jay Cutler. I was like, oh, did you know that Jay Cutler's ex-wife, Kristen Cavallari, is dating a 24-year-old TikToker? And that's how we started this beautiful conversation. This is how we really arrived to a lot of these things. But yes, she is. And I was trying to explain that now TikTokers are kind of like the new boy bands. So I grew up with NSYNC, Backstreet Boys. Now kids these days grow up with the Montana Boys is what they're known as. And she is dating one of them. All they do, guys, is just lip sync to videos.
So basically,
how about that Giants rotation?
Kristen Cavallari is dating Justin Timberlake, basically.
Basically, yeah, he is the JT of the group. Yes.
All right, Matthew, top that.
I can't.
No, we didn't even.
I can't say I can.
We didn't even. Go ahead.
Get some city news. Or
I
something?
have the only city news I have is something I mentioned earlier when I mentioned that Randy might have to play center back because Tim Parker looks like he's going to be on his way back against RSL this weekend, but Joachim Nielsen has a cracked rib, so he looks like he's going to be out. So Kyle Hebert, on the other hand, did get a goal in City's City 2 game on Sunday, which means he's back to health.
Oh, good.
So you could have Kyle Hebert back in your center back. Depth also, of course, you had Josh Yarrow scoring his first ever league goal last week, so it looks like it's probably going to be Yarrow or Parker and Hebert or Parker Yarrow.
Is
on
it
Saturday.
unreasonable to say that of all of those transactions, for lack of a better word, that the most important one is Parker coming back?
Yeah, I mean they are a completely different team. I saw the stat the other day where games without Parker, it's over 2 goals. They're allowing per game. Games with Parker, it's under 2 goals. It's more like 1.5.
Good.
So I mean that's a pretty big shift when you talk about a soccer team.
And Hebert too. He's kind of underrated. We don't talk about his absence enough.
Yeah, he was a huge player last year. He was just consistently throughout the lineup almost every game, whether and later in the season when they got Nielsen and they started incorporating him and they got Marcanic, he became more of your utility guy. He's going to play some left back. He's going to play some center back. He's going to just jump between those two spots. But I think now with the Deer signing and Marcanic continually being a very solid player, Hebert is solidly as your third or fourth center back. But heck, you need that now because they keep dropping like flies.
Yeah, and I don't know if you were here when we talked about how solid Marcanic is, but you always want to find a reliable Marcanic.
So about that San Diego rotation, I went through the Giants. It's got Webb, Hicks, Harrison, some guys coming back.
Oh, yeah.
Dan, who's the JT of that group, though?
Oh, I have no idea.
The Justin Timberlake, if you will. Now we're just going to circle everything back to that.
Yeah, pretty good.
Logan Webb?
Webbsy.
I think he'd be the good JT of that group.
San Diego's got Darvish, Musgrove, Cease. Maybe Darvish is the...
Wonder who their 4 and 5 are. I wonder how Mike is going to do putting together a 4 and 5.
Matt Waldron and Michael King.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yep. I can't wait to see him pitch.
Well, you're going to find out.
Time.
Yeah, you'll probably find out next week.
Yeah. Remember when, I don't know if the Cardinals are still this way. I've kind of repressed last year. But remember how whenever the Cardinals would see a guy for the first time, they could not hit him?
Could not hit him. It just happened every single game.
Every time. It's
every single game.
Yeah.
Especially a first-time lefty.
Yep.
Lefties were always tough that first time through.
So, and I don't know if that's still the case, but it's unfortunate that it has happened. And hopefully when the Cardinals see those guys, presumably on their first trek, first games against the Padres, hopefully they'll have an opportunity to handle those guys. So, Matthew, what do you got going on the next couple days?
I'm heading out to Vegas for a little trip.
Oh, good.
Yeah, during the tournament. I've never gotten to do it before. I've only actually been to Vegas the one time, which was 2.5 years ago or so. And so, yeah, this is my second trip to Vegas, and we're going to sit down and watch a ton of college basketball. I'm very excited for it. Yes, obviously.
That sounds like fun, man.
Sweet 16. I'm pretty excited for it, yeah. I mean, I'm going to lose a lot of money, but it's going to be fun.
That's all right. You make big money, so what's the big deal?
Hopefully I don't lose that much.
I might send you a text or give you...
I will be happy to mule some bets out in Vegas for whoever wants it.
Wonder what the
my
odds
Venmo will be ready
for the Cardinals to win the World Series are for that futures bet.
Ooh, that's a good one.
What was it again?
Cardinals to win the World Series.
I saw a thing where I think it was the Reds, the Cubs, and Milwaukee were favored in front of the Cardinals.
In the division? Yeah. So
Yeah.
I would think they're pretty long odds for our Redbirds. It's not stupid to put $20 down. There was a guy in 2011, somebody went out to Vegas right at the beginning of August or something when they were the odds were the longest. And I don't even remember what he made. It was well into six figures for like a $20 bet.
Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah. Wasn't there somebody who did that with the Blues?
Mm-hmm. That's right. That happened with the Blues, too.
And Randy had to get a tattoo.
Yeah.
And he did.
And I did.
Is that really losing a bet?
Still got it.
Because you really won.
Yeah, kind of. Well, the Blues won the Stanley Cup, did they not?
They did. And so then it's worth it.
Right now, I'm looking at plus 3,500, and some places are actually better than that.
So that's worth a $20
sure it
bet,
is.
right?
Yeah, why not?
Absolutely. We need legalized sports gambling in Missouri. I'm going to jump on that bandwagon right now. I'm going to say we need legalized sports betting in Missouri. And if you are one of the people that is preventing me from legally betting on sports, shame on you for affecting my entertainment.
38 states now with legalized gambling.
We ain't one of them.
No, we're not.
And you have to go across the river. You have to go over the bridge to place a bet. And so why not just keep that money here?
Well, we have 8 states that border Missouri. 7 of them have legalized gambling. You can go across 7 different borders and bet legally and put your money into their tax coffers.
And it dings right when you go past the border, correct?
Just cross over the bridge.
Wow.
Ding. Yeah, pretty cool.
And it places the bet for you.
Great job, as always, by our producer, audio, and video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocchio. Yes,
Pleasure.
sir.
Can I say this one more thing? Because this is what actually I want to talk about today, and I'm not going to get a chance to talk about it. This Shohei Ohtani thing ain't done.
Oh, really?
I'm just saying because ESPN has their top story right now is that his side refuses to say who they've actually reported this theft to. They refuse to say which authorities they reported it to, and then just the fact that the story changed a week ago. At first, the spokespeople were saying that Shohei Ohtani was covering the gambling debt, and then 2 days later it was Ippei stole the money to cover the gambling debt. I'm just wondering. I just feel like we're not at the end of this race yet. Is all I'm saying.
Hey, he's going through a new translator. You have to just kind of work through this for a little bit,
true.
okay?
He had prepared comments.
There's nothing to look at
The
here.
timeline
okay, Rocc?
changes.
I don't know.
If the
I don't know
timeline
why.
changed,
I don't know why you want to
someone's
look
lying
into this.
somewhere. That's all. Like when timelines change after the fact, someone's covering something up is what usually is happening.
Nothing to see here.
We reported this theft to the authorities. Who'd you report it to?
Don't worry.
The security guy at our clubhouse door.
He doesn't count.
It's a little odd, is all I'm saying. Pleasure.
Brooke, did you have fun today?
I did.
Good, I'm glad. See your face.
Nope.
Want to see your face?
Just kidding.
I didn't have that one, sorry.
Well, we don't have that one ready.
Pleasure. I'll beat you to it.
Daniel, you
Thanks
were
for
awesome
having
as
me
always.
on the show.
Matthew, we'll miss you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, everybody.
You are the
Enjoy the
show,
next 2
Dan.
days.
We shall. Bradford Brun's going to be in, we think?
Frenzy.
Yeah, Bruns is in.
Okay, Brunzies is going to be
You
in.
better get ready for your the fight,
Oh, I know.
Randy. I go
I know.
easy on you compared to Brunsy.
I know you do. Yeah, you go easy, easy on these guys, too. They have to read some of the words he writes.
No kidding.
He does like fancy words.
He does, yeah.
I like that about him.
We thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. For all of us, until tomorrow morning at 7, have a wonderful hump day, St. Louis.
That's right.